massively delayed, but I was doing the Wrestling Escape Pod as usual, and things as usual overran. But we're back, we're here, and we are ready to get our teeth into tonight's show. Tonight's show looks to be quite interesting because obviously last week we had quite a bit of things that went down, quite a few things for us to get our teeth into. So we have got Wes Lee, who's going to be addressing his turn and the fact that he actually attacked his brothers last week, the Rascalz. So we have got that. We've got Chase U taking on Nathan Frazer and Axiom for the NXT Tag Titles. We've got Otis. He is going to be answering the North American Championship Open Challenge by Oba Femi. So that should be really fun. Looking forward to that. It is a little bit of a shame that they announced that that was going to happen. Like, it would be better probably to just leave it and like have Otis come walking out, but Oba Femi was on Raw, made his presence felt, and it looks like that's the match we're going to get now. And then we got Tony D'Angelo taking on Charlie Dempsey. And then we've got Eddy Thorpe taking on Lexis King. So quite a bit there, actually, in regards to a preview. NXT, I think, is in a pretty interesting spot at the moment. There's some good stuff that's going on. And I really like that turn from Wes Lee. I know not everyone was on board with it, but I really like it. I think that, like, that you could have run with the Rascalz for a bit longer, but I think Wes Lee kind of feeling like, I think him wanting to be a tag champ, and had that have worked, he would have stuck with them, but they didn't. They fell short against Axiom and Nathan Frazer. And so does he want to just kind of kick around and go into some feuds? Or, you know, is that the right time for him to turn on them? It was a bit quick. I think we could have got a bit more out of it. But I don't mind it, to be honest. I don't mind it. I don't mind the fact that we didn't, that we kind of didn't milk it for a little bit more. I'm all right with them doing the turn as quickly as what they've done. So... yeah, but people will have different opinions on that. I just think that it makes sense from the point of view that Wes Lee, you know, to me, has spent the past 2 years being a solo star. To me, it was a bit strange that he would go back into a group and just be okay with that when he spent so long being a solo star. It would be a little bit strange for him to kind of throw that away. So the fact that he's turned around and gone, no. You know, you can't just walk back into my life. I'm a different person now. You can't just walk back in and expect everything to be okay. I do appreciate that. I rate that. I think that's pretty good. So, yeah, I really don't mind that. But that, I don't know if that opens the show. But as we said, that is going to be an interesting segment and something I am very much looking forward to. Kian, shout out to you. Says, hope you are well. Hope you have a good stream. I enjoyed the escape pods. I had a good laugh watching along with you and Tommy. It cheered me up. Well, I'm pleased to hear that, buds. You know, I do find the escape pod to be an interesting little challenge each week because I've said before, in my mind, nothing's prepared. Other than, obviously, we know, like, for a good 20 minutes, we're going to look at the pictures. If you don't watch the Wrestling Escape Pod, it's on a Tuesday before the NXT. It's got its own YouTube channel called the Wrestling Escape Pod. And basically, it's me and Tommy Toy Travels. We sit down and we just talk for an hour, and you know, we occasionally touch on wrestling, but we tend to go off in various different directions. But the way we end it now, and we have done for a few months, is we have a look at the Instagram pictures of the week, and we sit down and we kind of review them and we talk about them. And I think there's normally some fun kind of conversations that comes out of that, and a few fun observations. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. I do find it an interesting challenge because I suppose sitting here with you guys, there's always wrestling to talk about. There's always people asking questions. I really try to not go into the chat on a Wrestling Escape Pod so that it's a bit more I suppose, like eavesdropping on actual conversations. I mean, it's funny, actually. I haven't spoke to Tommy much away from the streams. Like, obviously, I'll speak to him for 5 minutes before. Really nothing after, because I'm normally running away to get to these streams. But so really, every conversation I've had with Tommy has kind of been recorded. And you've seen everything over on the Wrestling Escape Pod. So I suppose, like, I like that feeling of it being like eavesdropping. And I also like the feeling of not having the safety blanket of like, right, let's go to a question, you know. I like to just try and see, can we, you know, what topics can we get into? Sometimes they're dead ends. Sometimes we'll start a conversation, it just kind of peters out. Sometimes we can get into something which is gold. And I think you just never know, really, with it. So I really enjoy it. It's different. It's very, very different from anything else that I do. I really do enjoy doing them, and it's always nice to hear that people enjoy watching them as well. Right, William, shout out to you. Curtis said, Daze, have you seen the things that Dominik said on Logan's podcast? I haven't, no, because it dropped pretty close to the start of like the Wrestling Escape Pod. Plus, to be honest, I was watching Chad Gable's, so no, I didn't. I saw a few little teasers of bits and bobs, but no, I haven't seen anything, so I can't really comment. If there's anything that's like super important that I need to know, then feel free to let me know. Hayden said, Daze, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing good, buds. I hope you're good. Spartan Major said, I think Sasha Banks' AEW deal is like the Neymar deal in football, where it makes everyone overprice themselves and want loads of money, said Spartan Major. That is definitely the concern. We were just talking about that on the Wrestling Escape Pods. I think that, you know, AEW, you're absolutely right. I mean, someone comes along. It is like football. In football, if someone moves for 200 million, that then sets the new benchmark, doesn't it? All of a sudden now, well, hang on, if he's 200 million, how much is the player I've got worth? You know, I was going to charge 50, but actually in this market, is it 100 million now? You know, all of a sudden, like, all the prices go up. So I think that money that Mercedes received by AEW has understandably meant that the other women in the industry are now looking at what they're receiving going, okay, well, if she's getting that, I reckon I deserve this. And so, you know, it's just the way it goes, doesn't it? I've got mixed feelings, because wrestlers should be paid well. For a lot of wrestlers, there may not be life after WWE, in the sense of not everyone's going to be the Undertaker that's going to be able to go to conventions and make loads of money. So whilst you are in the industry, you should be able to make enough money to see you good for the rest of your life, right? Certainly if you make it to the main roster, I feel like, you know, you are shining bright for like, I don't know, 10 years or so, and that hopefully should mean that you then make enough money to see you okay. You know, there's no guarantee that if you get, you know, you lose your job, there's no guarantee that you're going to be a legend, that you're going to be asked back, that you're going to be in high demand at like conventions. You know, I mean, look at Virgil. Virgil was not in WWE that long. He tried to live a life off conventions, and there were some pretty sad scenes, really, where no one really wanted to meet Virgil. And there's lots of like him being at conventions, wanting to meet fans. Fans didn't want to pay to really meet him. His like, you know, run was relatively short, and he tried to milk that as much as he could. But you know, that's wrestling. This is why I don't mind them being paid well. I think the problem for me is that, I don't know, in this day and age, like, how much money do you actually need? If we're talking about people earning like 5 million a year, I mean, that's going to see you fine for the rest of your life. You know, you might not be able to buy like big mansions and stuff like that, but you're going to be able to get a house. You're going to be able to get cars. You're going to have some money for a rainy day. Like, that's going to see you all right. For me, like, obviously everyone's trying to get more and more and more. Ultimately, who pays for that? It's going to be us. Ultimately, it's going to be us. This is why you get the ticket prices that you get in Scotland. This is why, you know, if you want to get like good seats at a wrestling show now, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. You know, ultimately, these wages that go up, we pay for it. We pay for it. It'll be that it'll, like, you know, it'll be like subscriptions going up. You know, everything's going up in price. And it's one of those where, like, sports stars keep getting paid more and more and more and more. It's one of those where we're literally watching the rich get richer and the poorer get poorer. And I don't know. For me, I really don't mind WWE putting their foot down, going, no, we're not gonna go crazy with these wages. Like, if you want to go to AEW to get crazy money, then fine. Because the belief is that Becky was looking for something around Mercedes' number, which is absolutely acceptable, you know, totally understandable. If Mercedes is getting this much, I want that much. But I could understand WWE going, no, because if we pay you that much, then we've got to pay Rhea that much, and we've got to pay Bayley that much, and we've got to pay Charlotte that much, and we've got to pay Asuka that much, and we've got to pay Bianca that much, and we've got to pay... Do you know what I mean? And it just opens this massive can of worms. So it's a difficult one, because I think there's a balance where wrestlers absolutely deserve to be paid a really good wage for the risks that they take, the work that they put in, the schedule that they work, and the fact that their careers are going to end in their 40s, just like sports stars. But there has to come a point where you're like, nah, this is getting a bit silly now. There has to come a point where you're like, nah, that's silly. This is getting silly, because at the end of the day, it's us that pays for it, isn't it? It's us that pays for it. So I kind of, those are my feelings on it. I don't begrudge anyone getting a good wage in wrestling, but I don't know. I hate seeing those ticket prices going up. Wrestling was always an affordable form of entertainment. It was always a cheap form of entertainment. It was always something that you could get a ticket, go to the show, have a really good night, and wrestling was there for you, you know? It was entertainment for the masses. It was entertainment. I mean, I still think that it's great value for NXT, by the way. I think it's like $20 for a ticket to go to an NXT live event, and you have a really good time. You might not see big names, but, you know, you'll see the names of NXT. You know, when I went, I saw Kiana James, I saw Lyra Valkyria, I saw Trick Williams, I saw Shawn Spears, I saw Gallus. You know, I mean, the list went. I saw the family. I saw Rizzo. You know, you see the stars of NXT for a $20 ticket in a room of a few hundred people, and they put on a show for a few hours. I thought it was excellent. I've got no issues with that. But when you get to the main roster, then, you know, it can start getting a bit silly then. And I was just listening, actually, to football. They were talking about the prices for a shirt. There's a guy that bought a new football shirt for his kids, because the new football season's starting here in the UK. He bought the shirt. He bought a name of his favourite player on the back. He put the number on the back. And apparently, he says it came to like £150. For a shirt and a name on the back came to about $150. I don't know how that's true. I mean, I don't know. Is it like £5 a letter these days? I have no idea. I know shirts can be around about the £100 mark. So, I mean, I can't say I'm like massively surprised by that, but like £150 for a shirt and a name on the back. I feel like, honestly, you go back 20 odd years ago and it was like 40 quid for the exact same thing. 40 quid, $39.99 for a shirt and a name on the back. When I was growing up, when I was a lad, when I was a young man. But, you know, again, you're watching all these players move for like 60 million. And you're watching, like, you know, all these 200,000 a week, 300,000 a week wages. Who pays for that? It's the fans, innit? So, yeah. We could go off, man. We could go off. If I had my own company, I'd keep prices low. Keep it affordable. I'd have no stars, but the quality of the show would be atrocious. But I'd keep it affordable. Keep it for the masses. But I am pleased to report that NXT does a very good job with that, I think. Tony said, what are the predictions for Tony Khan's big announcements in history of announcements? Imagine he says he's going to go head on head with WWE. We were just talking about that, actually. We do talk about wrestling occasionally on the Wrestling Escape Pods. And we were just talking about it. And I said, what did Tommy think it was going to be? And he said that he thought it was going to be the TV deal, which I think makes sense. Now, I don't know what's going to be announced. I'm guessing it's going to be something along the lines of Warner Brothers Discovery, and the back catalogue's going to be involved, and the pay-per-view's going to be involved. So, I mean, I think this deal is going to be a reset, a refresh. You know, Tony has said that people have reported this deal is just going to be the exact same thing, and he's like, that could not be further from the truth. He said we're going to get a big increase. So he seems to be making noises that this deal is going to be really good. I think if you're going to get a big increase in money, you're going to have to increase what you provide. So, yeah, it might be a big increase, but I wonder if they get the pay-per-views included as well. So I wonder if it'll be I don't even know what the Warner Brother Discovery thing is. They're like, I don't know what it is. Is it Discovery Plus? I don't know. Whatever their streaming platform is, I wonder if they'll get the shows on there. I wonder if they'll get the live shows, the PLEs, the pay-per-views. So you just, as long as you're subscribed to whatever Warner Brothers Discovery's streaming platform is, I wonder if you'll get the pay-per-views included and all the back catalogue. I could see it being something like that for a nice little increase in the money. So I'm thinking it's something along those lines, to be honest. I would agree. James said, I've tweeted you something about AEW. I know that you don't bother with them, but I think you might be interested. It's to do with behind the scenes last year. Okay. What have we got? Here we go. Mark your calendars. A behind the scenes look at one of the biggest wrestling shows, AEW Stories, will be premiering next Monday at noon. So apparently they're going to show us behind the scenes of AEW All In. I wonder if they'll include like the CM Punk stuff. I mean, I don't. That's tricky, isn't it? Because if they, that's tricky. If they do, people will say it's petty. Like, oh, how petty to drag all that up. But then if they don't, are they not leaving out one of the biggest aspects of the weekends? That feels a little bit like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, really, you know? I don't know. I like to always try and put myself in the situation of what would I do, and I would not show the footage that got shown on TV. I think that's had its day, so I would not do that. But I don't know if there's footage of Tony backstage being stressed and footage of him trying to, like, you know, deal with maybe, you know, the situation. Maybe you don't put like a big spotlight on it, but you just sort of show Tony at the start of the show, like all frazzled. And maybe you don't like put a big spotlight on it, but I don't know, to kind of erase it would be a bit disingenuous. I think it depends what footage they've got, really. I certainly would not show the choke. I wouldn't show that. There's no need. It's already been shown. There's no need, but I don't know. I think if you present it as being this perfect show, everything went fantastic, people will rip it apart. So I think you've kind of got to show a little bit of the fact there was something pretty big that happened backstage as well, but without really showing it. Oh, it's hard, that is. That's really difficult. I don't know quite how I would do it. That's one of those where I think I'd sit down and I'd just work through the footage I've got, and I would try to show that it was not a perfect evening. But I wouldn't want to go too far into the negatives, because I suppose it's meant to be a celebration of, like, we did it. So I would definitely end it on a, you know, thanks guys, we did it, we smashed it, this is everything I hoped it would be, blah, 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 kind of a thing. But I think you have to show some of the struggles that were in there as well. So, tricky one, that. Tricky. Hayden said it does make sense that the announcement would be a TV deal. Brony said Tom Collihew says that Jacob Roman encounter happens. Roman will be beaten badly. Looks like they're all in on making Jacob look like a badass. Interesting. I think the announcement is going to be about Shane McMahon, said Travis. Hope you're enjoying the stream so far, said Wrestle Wyatts. Hello, Wrestle Wyatts. Hope you're well. Yeah, talking to the Wyatts, I did drop an extra episode, which completely unplanned. To be honest, normally we get everything in that first video. And I think this, probably more so than what we've seen in recent weeks in regards to the Wyatts, was a lot more open to interpretation. So normally we get like the sit down interview and we get the, little segment, and there's not really too much that's open to interpretation. Everything's been quite straightforward. So it's kind of like, this happened, that happens, he said this, pretty sure it relates to that, blah, 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 right? And so it's quite easy to get everything into that first video. I think the difference with this week was, opening of the doors, or the doors will be opened, yeah? That obviously can be interpreted lots of different ways. Some of the imagery can be interpreted in different ways. Obviously, Alexa is a big talking point. So I think we were able to get what happened into the first video. But then, of course, there's a lot of thoughts and kind of reverberations that happened after, where people were theorizing about different things, different aspects. And I just found myself like with a folder that was absolutely rammed, and I was like, there's no point me waiting to do Unseen, because to be honest, it's just going to end up being a Wyatt 6 video. So why don't I just do a Wyatt 6 video? So we did drop an extra Wyatt 6 video, completely unplanned. It was just because I got tagged in so many thoughts and theories, and I think all that stuff with the stand was so interesting. I really did not know about that. Or at least I don't think I knew about it. It's one of those where someone might pull up an old clip of me being told about it, and then I look like a goof. But honestly, if they have told me about it, I've forgotten about it. I really did not remember that stuff. I really don't remember ever seeing Mother Abigail. That Mother Abigail was in that book. And like, you look at like some of the other stuff that's in there, and the connections to this story are just huge. Not in a bad way where Bray's just ripped the story off or anything. I mean, he's took inspiration from it, and I think he's put his own twist on it, right? And we know he's took inspiration from like Greek mythology as well. There's lots of little, he's a big fan of horror films. He's a big fan of Stephen King novels. He's a big fan of mythology. I think he's just grabbed from all these things, put it into a pot, mixed it all up, and, created the world that he's created. But there is something strange when you kind of see like something like The Stand that's got so much Bray reference stuff in there. So, I mean, like, as I said, Mother Abigail. You kind of look at that and you're like, or the My Life for You, or whatever it was that he said, My Life for You, was taken from that book. And then, of course, it was in the documentary. We know that he was a big Stephen King fan, so it's not that he won't have seen this work. I've no doubt that he will have seen this work. So yeah, that was a big kind of piece that was in today's video as well, which I thought was quite interesting. So don't know. I don't know quite where we're going with all of this. I feel like it's going to lead to the return of Alexa personally, but I'm really pleased that we're back doing something that we can kind of get our teeth into again, doing something that we can theorize about and really enjoy and chuck around again. I miss that. When things are like in a straight line, it's not boring, but it's just a bit, I don't know. I think we all like the Easter eggs. We all like the pondering over things. We all like the investigation. We all like that stuff. And so it was nice to just get a little taste of that again this week. So not the biggest of videos, of course, but I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing what next week brings, to be honest. Daze, do we think it is a step down for main roster stars to go back to NXT, says Paul. Yeah, it is a step down, definitely, because You're going from being in arenas of thousands of people to being in NXT. You're going from a show that's 1.8 million views or 2 point whatever million views to a show that does 600,000 views. I mean, there's no way of painting it different, really. It is a step down. You are going back to the developmental brand, so it is a step down. But I think it's one of those where life is a journey. I think that you can just only ever do your best. And, you know, that's a big lesson in life, really. Do the best you can. Give everything that you've got. And really what will be, will be. You know, there's so many moving parts in the world. There's so many things like that can happen that's out of your control. I mean, there's so much that is out of your control. That, you know, all you can do is your best, really. And just hope that that will be good enough. Sometimes the hand that you get dealt is just not the hand that you would have hoped for. And I think that, you know, you could be a great wrestler. You could be someone that gives your all. You could go to the main roster and you could just find yourself not being fancied. It could just be that, you know, the creative department would much rather work with Punk, much rather work with Drew, much rather work with Gunther, and you just find yourself never getting that chance. And so, you know, you wait for your opportunity. They don't really have anything for you. And so at that point, you know, what do you do? I mean, do you get demoralized? Do you sit in catering and ponder life? Or if they say, look, do you want to go to NXT and, you know, have a bit of a run there for a bit? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I'd rather do that than sit in catering. But let's do that, because if I can get out there and I can get on a mic and I can have matches, I can show you what I can do. So it's one of those where, is it a step down? Yeah, it is. Of course it is. But it doesn't have to be viewed that way. It can be viewed as an opportunity. It can be viewed as a chance to show your worth once again in 2024. And I think for someone like Pete Dunne, like, it's a bit weird, actually, because I think he went down to NXT because they didn't have anything for him. And now they've got something for him. Because it's a bit weird that he's in NXT and at the same time they're building a feud with him with Sheamus. Like, that's a bit strange, isn't it? It does feel like when they spoke to him, they didn't really have anything. And then all of a sudden they've decided, we'll do you and Sheamus. But now he's already started something in NXT. So it's like in two places at once now. So Pete Dunne's a bit of a strange one, really, because he is actually doing two things. Someone like, say, Becky, where she was clearly being used for her star power. She was not being used because she needed to go there. She was being used because she was going to bring eyes to the product. You know, that's clearly different. She's helping them out. But someone like Pete Dunne, he's not going to be a boost to ratings. I don't think you put Pete Dunne down there because you think, oh, this is going to result in more viewers. You know, no disrespect to Pete Dunne. I don't see him as a needle mover. I really like him and I like him a lot. But I don't think his star power is big enough where he's going to move the needle. Perhaps he brings in a few extra 100 people. I don't know. But I don't think he's a needle mover. He's not Roman. He's not The Undertaker. He's not Becky. So I think, like, for him, it's maybe a different situation. For Ridge Holland, it's clearly a different situation. For Cedric Alexander, it's clearly a different situation to a Becky. So it's one of those where, like, I would look at it as an opportunity. And I would look at it as, like, I'm going to show you what I can do. Rather than, like, being, like, super down about it. Head of the table said the announcement from Tony will be another announcement for next week's announcement. Let's go. Wrestle Wyatt said, I think when the Wyatt Six refer to the underworlds, I'm pretty sure that that is a clue to the Fiend. It could be. It could be. I mean, we don't know where Alexa is coming from. That's the only thing I would say. If it is a little, like, hint to the underworlds, if this is going to lead to the return of Alexa, we don't know where she's been, and we don't know what character she's going to be portraying. So the Fiend could be an option, but I think Alexa could be an option as well, because we just don't know what she returns as. I mean, apparently this is going to be a new character. That's what Tom Colohue said. Bray was working on a character for Alexa before he passed away. and obviously she was pregnant, so you know she couldn't do anything. She couldn't play like that character whilst he was with us. So the belief is she's going to come back, and she's going to, might not be straight away, but eventually she will be this character. And I don't know. I don't know as a result what to expect from her return. But again, that's what makes this all so interesting. Does she come back and she's going to be the goddess, and then she turns into this character? Is she going to be normal and we recruit her, or normal and we target her, or is she going to come back and be straight into the group? Don't know. That's one that we have spoke about before. We did an opinions video on it, and it was interesting. Lots of different thoughts on that, which honestly I'm not sure will have changed. I don't think we've had enough information for it to change. Tony said, if it's a TV deal for AEW, wouldn't it imply that it will go to another network that have a streaming platform, make new shows, or would it be nothing different? Well, that's tough for me to comment, to be honest, because I don't know what Warner Brothers Discovery has got from a streaming platform point of view. I mean, I would be surprised if they didn't have one. Are we saying that Warner Brothers Discovery don't have a streaming platform? I mean, for example, Warner Brothers Discovery makes me think of the channel Discovery, which maybe it's just not connected, but I know there is Discovery Plus. So would that be their streaming platform? So I genuinely don't know enough about the networks to know as to, you know, would it imply this, would it imply that? I know that they want to stay with Warner Brothers Discovery. I know that there's a whole conversation around the basketball rights and what that was going to mean for AEW. But to be honest, at that point, we're getting a bit too far into the weeds for me. This is where like the conversation starts losing me, because I'm not a TV executive. I don't know the landscape of TV. So, you know, we can talk about wrestling and the rosters and all of that, but like once we start getting like so far removed away from wrestling and we start going into conversations about television networks, don't know. I mean, I can kind of look at a list that tell me what the most watched channels are and all stuff like that, but who would be bidding and who would be coming in and what bids would be getting placed and where would be the best place for them to go, that's for people that get paid a lot more money than me. But I would be surprised if they were leaving Warner Brothers Discovery. I've not heard anything of that. Undercover Manager said, I think they should draft the roster to a number of small writing teams. For example, have 4 or 5 small teams for Raw. SmackDown have 7-8 wrestlers that they write for. If someone is not used elsewhere, says Undercover Manager. Axiom said, we all make announcements in the chat. I've been officially single for 6 months. Well done, Axiom. Good work. Excellent job. Respect. Big Time said, our breakdowns of Raw, it was 1.89, it did 2 million, it did 197, and it did 165. WrestleNomics breakdown mentioned the third hour lost 569 viewers during the Bronson Reed Miz match, says Big Time. David said, Danielson is AEW's top star. AB Jobson, hello, shout out to you. Head of the Table said, I think WWE should put Jacob in weekly matches when he's back. He's amazing. He's a threat. His in-ring work is unmatchable, and it would bring even more eyes to SmackDown. Travis said, Warner Brothers Discovery have got Max, formerly known as HBO Max. A.B. Jobson said, I still have flashbacks of Hell in a Cell 2019. Curse him for killing the gimmick match. Wyatt Rowlands and all common sense within a basic storyline, says A.B. Jobson. Kim Shane said, is Uncle Harper one of the Wyatt 6 PR is just the mask? Could Amanda Huber portray the role? I don't think Amanda Huber would portray the role, to be honest. I mean, she's never been on TV. Never expressed a desire to be on TV. I don't even know if she's got the abilities to be on TV in the sense of like to be able to carry and portray a character like that. So that would not be something I'd be expecting. In regards to Uncle Harper, it's a difficult one because That character was trademarked at the same time as Uncle Howdy, and we've said before, don't know if it was that they trademarked them both and they were trying to figure out what name to go with. Do we go with that name or do we go that way? Well, I'll tell you what, trademark them both and we'll make a decision. And they went with Uncle Howdy, and that's it, right? It really could be that there was no plans for an Uncle Harper. Uncle Harper may have been Uncle Howdy. They just didn't know which direction to go with the character. They went with Uncle Howdy, right? So that I genuinely don't know. That has never been answered. There has been nothing to do with Uncle Harper other than the fact that name was trademarked at the same time as Uncle Howdy. That's it. That's all I know. I don't know anything else than that. Nothing else have I ever read. I've not heard any reports. I've not seen any interviews. I don't know anything about Uncle Harper other than the fact it was trademarked years ago at the same time as Uncle Howdy. I remember when we saw Six at the Pitch Black match, I did wonder, is that Uncle Harper? But then, of course, we've come to find out that that was nicknamed Six, and Jason Baker makes no mention of that character ever being referred to or being Uncle Harper. So the Uncle Harper one is difficult because it really might be nothing. It really might be that was going to be the alternative name for Uncle Howdy. Or it could be that there's a whole new character that's come in that we never got to meet last time because of Bray's early passing, of course. So I would say in regards to Uncle Harper, I would say just keep a real open mind on it. A real open mind. I would not be getting like so invested into that you're like, no, it's definitely coming, it's definitely happening, it's definitely connected to the mask. You know, all of that is just theories. They're all just nothing but fan theories. That mask might have nothing to do with Uncle Harper, or it could. So I mean, that's why I would say just keep a real open mind about it, because we may never get an Uncle Harper. I mean, there may not be an Uncle Harper. That may have just been the alternative name for Uncle Howdy. Or it's a character that's on the way, so. What if Shane pulls a swerve, said Tony, and says the contract does say Khan, but it says Nick Khan, let's go. Amanda Huber was on AEW with Dark Order. She was screaming at Evil Uno during a 12-man tag match. No idea. No, I never saw her. I mean, if she was that after he had passed away, I have no idea. Whether she could play like a permanent character and actually carry the weight of that, or even if she would want to, or even if it would work, to be honest. AB Jobson said Fraxium needs a No Mercy opponent. Motor City Machine Guns is the only big enough team. Yeah, it could be them. They are rumored to be coming in, so it looks like, yeah, it could be coming in. Kim Shane said, could Barry or Kendall Windham be used for Uncle Harper, as they are Bo and Bray's uncle in real life? I don't know what you want me to say. I feel like I answered that question the best I could. James said, no, Fiend should not return whatsoever. That's Bray Windham creation. Leave it alone. Inside Out and again said, I think Rhea should have represented Australia in the Olympics for breakdancing. Well, that would certainly be better than what they sent. Dr. Lucha Lala says, I hope you get a good show tonight. Last week was a bit of a downer. Wrestle Wyatt said Alexa might be Mother Abigail. Head of the Table said, what if it was a character like The Fiend? I Go Viral said, any plans for Joe Hendry? He's got too much heat to not. He'll be around. He'll be around. Don't know that we've got anything lined up this week, but he made it quite clear that he liked it there and he wasn't planning on leaving anytime soon. Paul said, could NXT benefit from having its own Money in the Bank matches holders? It could do. I think they do sort of do that, though, with the breakout tournament winners, because if you win the breakout tournament, you get a contract that you can cash in at any point. So we saw Lola Vice cash hers in and make a women's match a triple threat. So they do sort of do that with that kind of price. It's a bit strange, to be honest, that the winner of a breakout tournament, the winner of a tournament to decide who the best newcomer is, gets an opportunity to cash in for a title. It is any title, in all fairness. It doesn't have to be the big one. But in all fairness, if you've got the opportunity to cash in for a title, you probably would be tempted to go for the big one. But, so yeah, they do something similar, but it's not quite the same. Big Dog said, Daze, we know the other potential new Judgment Day names. Do we know any other potential? No, nothing's been reported. Nothing. AB Jobs said, Fraxium need no mercy opponents. Motor City Machine Gun are the only big enough opponents. Saw Hack Duggan said, how do we think the Wyatt Six will break up? Do we think Gacy will betray Bo? I don't feel it's because the group is formed as a tribute to Bray. I hope no one betrays each other. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, that I feel like we haven't really got going with the group. They've only been around for like 2 months. And we're not even done with their first opponents. I don't think so. The idea of now trying to explore how they're going to break up. I mean, we've still got Alexa, who is seemingly going to come into the group. There's word of Braun being drawn to the group. We haven't explored the characters. We don't know the dynamics. I mean, way, way, way too early for that. WWE biggest fan, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Good to see you here for NXT. That reinforces your name, buds. That reinforces your name. Dr. Luchalala said, it would be nice if Dempsey turned Ren Sinclair into a more technical wrestler. Wrestle Wyatt said, what if Alexa has got 2 personas? Well, that would make sense. I mean, I could see her having 2 personas, in all fairness, because she sort of had 2 personas when she was Playground Alexa, because she was obviously Playground Alexa, all really happy, here's Lily, you know, all that stuff. And then clearly there was the darker side where she, like, you know, was a lot more serious. She wore that kind of black dress. And whereas, like, when she was Playground and bubbly, she wore like a bit of a purple dress. So she seemed to have a bit of a darker side to her as well. So her coming back with a darker persona, again, I don't know if it'll be straight away, because when she comes back, she may be back as a bit like a goddess type character. But yeah, I expect her to come back and eventually have those 2 personas. Okay, here we go then, kids. We are getting underway with NXT. Let's go. Let's go. Just a short little chat this time before the show starts. Together. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, what has NXT got for us this week? So they're just showing us Great American Bash from last week. I found out about this yesterday. Apparently WWE, through the Speed deal, have got a handshake deal to keep AEW's Twitter account limited from engagement. Really? Where was that reported? If Ren wins, I'll give you a Heritage Cup match. And of course, she would go on to win. And so that means that Charlie Dempsey has got his Heritage Cup match tonight. Joe Hendry taking on Joe Coffey. He said, I like it here and I might just stay for a lot longer. Looks like USA have got it right this time, said Rave Spring. Talking with Hart, said Random Thought. When the 1A was mentioned, what if it was more like Braun Strowman, the A being his real name, Adam? Don't think so. Just because they didn't use... I don't think they used real names, did they? for others. I mean, they used U for Uncle Howdy, for example. They didn't go for T for Taylor. I don't know if Dexter Loomis's is Dexter Loomis's real name. I don't think it is. So it'd be a bit weird to then use a real name when all the others weren't. When the intro comes on, it gives me chills, says Wrestle Wyatt. AB Jobson said it does kind of suck that NXT lacks true title feuds for some of the champions. So we're just seeing that attack from Wes, which I thought was done really well last week. I thought that was done really well. Here's Wes. There's a few jeers for Wes as he arrives. Sarah Schreiber. Why did you turn on your brothers? Oh, hello. Here's Ethan Page. Okay, so he's got a new microphone cover. Okay, so Ethan Page is making his way out to the ring. This is... I actually don't know his theme, you know. All ego. Brony said, the tag division in WWE is just not strong at all. JD and Finn haven't defended the titles once since winning it. Axiom are decent. Women's tag champs are barely featured. Spartan said, is this a new theme song? I don't know. I don't recognize it. I don't recognize it. So, NXT champ is opening the show. Brony, Motor City Machine Guns, Lucha Bros are coming quickly. Dark Future 2000. Shout out to you, buds. I heard Wes Lee chirp him. Who is going to be next? He says you could break every finger I have and it wouldn't loosen the grip I have on this championship. Oh, such a bad line. I hate that line. This isn't NXT, it's NX Me. Alright, here's Joe Hendry. How's Joe getting into a title shot? Hasn't he had like one NXT match? So Joe Hendry has come out. We got Ethan Page in the ring. It feels a bit more like a third brand, doesn't it? Like these aren't developmental talents. Ethan Page has had like quite a career. I actually don't know how old he is, but obviously he's come in from AEW. And Joe Hendry is a TNA star. It's really weird when you think about it. We got a TNA star in the ring with a former AEW star in an NXT ring. It's weird, isn't it? Okay, the crowd are chanting for Joe Hendry. Let's see what he's got to say. The fans left here talking about Wes Lee last week. When are they going to do this? Their heavy reliance on Joe Hendry is a reflection of the current state of NXT roster. I don't think so. I think they're just really trying to tap into that popularity. I don't think it's a reflection of the roster. I think they're just trying to milk Joe Hendry for as much as they can get out of him. Hello, sis. Hope you're doing well. Crowd are chanting, we believe. Custom microphones are the way forward, says Paul. Page is 30, said Wrestle Wyatt. Joe has got a win, said the Beach Kevin. So Ethan said he doesn't believe in Joe Hendry. Dark Future, shout out to you. We have better guys in TNA. I don't know why they keep using only Joe, said the Six Hurricane Man. Well, it's because he's so popular, isn't it? They want the ratings, but the ratings haven't moved. But the past few weeks have been affected by the Olympics, of course. Where's Javon Evans? Where's Javon? That kid's bouncy. That boy is bouncy. Where's Trick? Where's Javon? Okay, so Joe Hendry said he's been competing for 10 years and he's made believers out of legends. And Booker T is the president of the Joe Hendry. I don't think he is. He doesn't look like he's the president of the... Okay, so Joe Hendry said, I'll make a believer out of you when I take that championship. They're singing, said Spartan. They are singing. They are singing. Stephanie Vacour debut. Oh, she'll be good. Julia as well. Wes Lee comes in. Wes Lee super kicks Joe Hendry. We can't do Ethan against Wes, though. They're both heels. You could do Joe Hendry against Wes. Okay, so we're done with that opening segment. Here's Ren. The MQCC. Now that I'm in the group, I ain't staying out of anything, says Ren. Did you see Tavian over in Japan? They were loving Ontavian Heights over there. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be doing the Heritage Cup match first. It's going to be Tony against Charlie. Heritage Cup. Here's the family. There's the Riz. Friend of the channel, Luca Crucifino. Let's go. Let's go. The original tribal chief hits SmackDown. Roman back on Friday. And Nia's celebration on Friday as well. Nia Jax WWE Women's Championship celebration. From Orlando. Oh. Very nice. Life for Dad said, I wonder if we'll get TNA NXT draft picks. I wouldn't think so. Draft isn't. We've just had the drafts. Isn't it like May time, so. Plus, I think they're working together, but I don't think they're working together to the point where they would like draft talent to each other's brands. But I'm going to go off to AEW Dynamite Collision in Cardiff next week. I'm pumped to see how they put on a live show, says Paul. Have a good time. Have a good time. That girl who edited the picture of you yesterday, she made another and she's tagged you, says Trader Sam. Okay. Very good. I think my face is facing the wrong direction. Let's see if I can find it. I've still got this set up from there we go. I think the perspective is a little bit off this time. I mean, not a problem, of course. Still fun. But like the head is going that way and my face is kind of going that. That's very good. Alexa Daze. Alexa Daze. I'll retweet that. Okay, so what's this? Brady's just tagged me in somewhere. Interesting that Alexa herself felt broken and with abandonment issues. Same theme that the Wyatt 6 members feel. You were broken. You were abandoned. Okay, we are at commercial break. Yeah, it was good go that, and I've retweeted it. I've no doubt the community will be enjoying that. It's been some really good ones actually. Like I'm not encouraging them, I'm not asking for them, but there's been loads of fun Daze edits, if you will. Okay, Life Dad, shout out to you, buds. Go down. James said, these are getting out of control. They are, aren't they? I don't mind. I like them. I think they're fun, but I could understand if people are like, okay, I've seen enough now. Haley said, hello, y'all. Won't be able to be in here for long tonight. I'm just getting ready for the kids' first day at school. But I'm on... Charlie, what's this? But I'm on while Charlie's match plays. We all know I'll be watching this match. Hey, this match should be good. Tony against Charlie in a Heritage Cup match. Let's go. We've already had 17 minutes of the show. So this Saturday we've got Fanatics Fest, Rey Mysterio. The Olympic Slams by Ration. He genuinely looks like a guy that would back and strap the rocket had he not been signed. Oh, what, Tavian? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. Okay, here we go. So what's this? No Mercy Gauntlet match. So we got Robert Stone and we've got Stevie Turner. So these are for women that have not had a championship opportunity. Why don't we have Stevie wrestling? I don't get that bit. I don't think she's injured at the moment or anything. Ren Sinclair is in. Oh, the Riz! Yeah, the Riz is involved. Let's go. Sol Ruka. No great surprise there, is there? So do we need another 3? Are we doing that later, are we? So there we go. There's the Riz in the ring. Mike Rome, the announcer for this. No Tavian, because obviously he's away. Ren has come back out. Ren's out. She was in the back, but she's made her way down. She's getting over with the crowds. The Don. Okay. Let's go. I don't know how on earth did Trick go from being the biggest star to now climbing up the story. I'm confused why they've gone backwards. Well, I think, to be honest, like, he had his title run. And I think, like, they decided that they didn't need to just keep the belt on him and have him, like, doing, like, those kind of feuds. Like, he didn't... I can only presume he didn't need it. Because I don't think that he was failing as champion or anything. So I think it was just a case of like, well, let's just give someone else a go. I don't know. It's really strange. I can't really explain it. You'd have thought they'd have just kept the belt on him and just run with him as champ. But, I mean, to me, he wasn't doing anything wrong. So, I mean, I don't think them taking the belt off him was any sort of punishment. And now they've kind of moved him into a feud with Pete Dunne. So, I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't really get it either, but I don't think it's a punishment thing. I don't think he's failed or anything like that. I can only imagine they're like, okay, yeah, cool. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay. Perhaps they just feel like there's a lot of people around. They brought in Ethan. They wanted to give him a run. I mean, they did get him to the belt really quick. Working on the arm of Tony, we are underway. You and Hendry behave similar. I could not disagree more. Spartan said, I was only looking at the blonde hair. Tony being stuck with the Heritage Cup for 3 months hasn't helped, says AB Jobson. Right, where are we? Let's get going with this match, shall we? As we've got Charlie going against the ropes, gets picked up, looking for inverted atomic drop, spine buster, no guillotine there by Charlie. So Charlie has got a guillotine. He jumps down. Now he's managed to get a Kimura applied. He gets driven back to the corner there by Tony. Charlie battling away, double underhooks. No. I mean, it's a good opening match, this. These are 2 really good talents. I like both of these. Looking to try and get Charlie up. Rolls through. Charlie went for a kick, gets caught, goes down. Looked like he was going for a triangle, is it? Yeah? Going for like a triangle. He's managed to get a hold of the arm. We've got less than 30 seconds to go in round number 1. Tony powering him up, but Charlie gets him back down, and he's pulling on the arm. Roll up there by Tony, no joy. Charlie comes over. Takedown there by Tony. Goes up. He's got Charlie up on his shoulder and he throws him. Tony coming over. Drive. Picks up. Goes over. Gets the leg. Keeps Tony down. And that's the end of the round. So that was the end of round 1. Luca gets in there. So first round done. And it just sort of set the scene, really. Coming up next, we got Eddie Thorpe taking on Lexis King. Okay, here we go. We got Charlie coming over and battling with Tony. Tony rolling over, looking for the pin. Kick out there by Charlie. Tony round the back, trying to pin Charlie. Charlie grabbing the ropes. Grabbing the ropes. Knee to the midsection. I like Charlie's ring gear. I think that looks pretty cool. I don't think I'd have the writing on it, though. I think I would just have had it be the burgundy with, like, the green stripe down the sides. Don't know about Tony's ring gear, to be honest. So, it suits his character, I suppose. Roll through. There was just a 2 count there. But look at the strength. That was great strength. Really good by Tony. 2, 3. So he sort of powered him up and then sort of like just dumped him down. I mean, there wasn't really anything textbook about that, but he does get the pinfall. He just powered his way there to that pinfall. So there we go. First pinfall. 1-4 by Tony. I can't wait for Julia, Steph, and Delta to arrive. The women's division, they're not going to know what's hit them, says James. I agree. I'm really looking forward to that as well. I still don't feel like they've really fleshed out Ethan Page. We know he's a cocky heel, but where are the vignettes and the sit-down interviews? I agree. I think that's the problem, really, when you're bringing in these new people, is that a lot of people don't know about them. Like, I don't know about Ethan Page. So I just don't feel like I've been really introduced to him that much. You get the odd promo, and obviously I know that he's all ego, and I know that he's cocky, but there's not really anything else to hang your hat on other than that. And for him to be like the champ, I mean, we've got a champ that I just don't have any emotion for whatsoever. I don't know anything about him. I don't care. I just don't care. So, like, they need to make me care. And you're right, like, sit-down interviews, getting a bit of the backstory, finding out a bit more about him, getting some juicy creative going. I mean, really, he's just had a feud with Oro, and that was based on... Do you remember when Oro was being attacked by a mystery person? Well, that mystery person turned out to be Ethan, and that's how he came in. So really, he's just done a feud with Oro that's based on how he arrived, and he's already NXT champion. Like, it's really weird booking. Very strange. But, you know, they clearly see something in him and they want to push him hard. But I don't know. I agree. I feel like we've skipped, like, several steps. And you do those steps on purpose, you know? There's a reason as to why you do those steps, so... It is a bit strange. It is a bit weird, but I don't know. It's perhaps they think that most people like watch TNA that watch NXT, and perhaps they're thinking a lot of people who already know him. But I don't know how they could think that, because NXT gets about 600,000 viewers. I think TNA 100 and something thousand, 200 something thousand. I mean, it's a third. That means the majority wouldn't know. So, I don't know. Some of the booking can be a little bit weird sometimes since Sean has took over. But I think big picture, by and large, you have to say that considering we can't have Papa H anymore because he's gone on to pastures new, he's got on to bigger things, I suppose you have to look at it and go, it's not a bad replacement, really, Sean. I think Sean has done some really good stuff. He's done some really good stuff. Right, we are at commercial break, and believe it or not, we're really not far from being a quarter of the way through this show. We're getting close to the half-hour mark, which is stunning. But they skipped some steps with Trick Williams. So what? They didn't skip any steps with Trick Williams. Trick Williams was standing next to Carmelo's side all the way back in NXT 2.0. Like, how can we say they skipped steps with Trick Williams? From the moment he arrived on TV to the moment he became champion was years. And he had, like, he was right there. He was in loads of backstage segments. He was loyal to Carmelo, and we explored their relationship. And he was in the barbershop. And what steps did we skip with Trick Williams? I don't get why people want Brock back so bad, said Spartan. I guess for the Gunther match, but after allegations, he's most likely never coming back. Depends how that goes, isn't it? To be honest, I think a lot of the legal stuff has stayed away from the news, if you will, because it's gone quite quiet. So I think as a result of that, people are kind of, it's out of sight, out of mind. Ren is slapping Charlie and getting him fired up. The Beach Kevin said Charlie is catching a beat him. Yeah, she did that to, was it Tavian? And got him all fired up. Just because you like him doesn't mean he wasn't rushed. How can we say that? How can we say that he was rushed? How can we say he was rushed? How can we say that Trick Williams was rushed? There is no way you can compare Ethan Page and him coming in and getting straight to the title to Trick Williams, who's been on the roster for years. Trick Williams was part of NXT 2.0. It's been ages since we did NXT 2.0. He's been involved in loads of feuds. Didn't he have a run with the North American title? What is this conversation? What is this conversation? I do like Trick Williams, but my judgment is not clouded. He had a run with the mid-card belt. That's just, I don't even know what this conversation is. This doesn't make sense. Fallon said, Daze, John Cena is on Whatnot auctioning off some autographed helmets. He's on what? Whatnot? I've never heard of that. They dropped the ball on Trick. I feel he needed a longer run, said Paul. Well, I would have took a longer run. I mean, I can only put it down to the fact that they felt that he just didn't need it. I mean, I didn't think he put any steps wrong. His promos were fine. His reactions are still big. Everything was still feeling good. I mean, I do think he needed some better creative. I mean, actually having some good feuds with that championship would have been welcome, but I don't know. It's one you'd have to ask Sean. Edward said, Daze, how are you? I'm going to take a few weeks off the memes. People aren't enjoying them as much now. I just think it's one of those where, like, it can, you know, very quickly people can be like, yeah, I've seen it now. Do you know what I mean? Here we go. We got Tony coming over, throwing in some shots with Charlie. We got an uppercut there by Charlie. These two exchanging blows back and forth. My brain is melting trying to understand Trick stuff, says Big Time. I can only put it down to the fact they just don't feel that he needs the belt. They've given him a run with it. He doesn't need it. The stuff that he wants to get his teeth into, maybe he needs a bit more freedom. I mean, he's a massive star. He still gets massive reactions. So, I mean, it's not that it's like, I don't know. I just, I can only put it down to that. Charlie trying to get back up to his feet. Double underhooks. Against the ropes goes Charlie. And he is grabbing a hold of Tony's arm. It's 1 fall each. We're in round 5. This thing, I think, what, goes 6 rounds, is it? So Charlie is down and Tony's trying to power him up and he plants him down. And he goes to the outside. Charlie goes to the outsides. Axiom said, I believe Trick is working with Dunn and it's strictly an improvement. Some aspects that we don't see. He'll be champ again, says Axiom. Made by Dawn said Trick Williams was rushed. He just came into wrestling. He has no presence. His wrestling is generic. I don't believe him as heavyweight champ, not even as US champ. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I can only disagree. I think that his presence is clearly there because, I mean, he gets massive pops. People go crazy for him. Charlie gets the victory. I mean, he's one of the most over superstars. His presentation is huge. The reactions he got when, it was him winning the title and all of that. I mean, if you don't feel it, then that's cool. I mean, I don't feel it with quite a few people, but I mean, Trick is not one of them. The idea that he's been rushed, I don't understand that. I don't get what we're saying with that. As we said, he had a mid-card title run. He had feuds. He's been on TV for years. I mean, I don't know. When do you want him to be NXT champion? 5 years or something? How can we say he's been rushed? Rushed to me would be months, maybe even 12 months if you wanted to. But he's been on NXT for years. So I have to really disagree with the rush thing. I mean, I think I would abandon that line because it doesn't stand up. If you want to say that you don't feel his presence, I could understand that, because as I said, there's lots of people I don't feel their presence for. It comes down to a personal preference thing, doesn't it? That comes down to I like this person, I don't like this person kind of a conversation. But I can't vibe with the rush thing. I don't get the rush thing. But backstage, we've got Lola, we got Tatum. But I believe Trick will get called up next year, said T85. He had a mid-card title for 1 week in developmental. He had it for a week, more than a week, didn't he? I mean, do you really want to have this argument? Because it ain't going to go well for you. I'm not being moody about it, but I can't just sit here and not debate if someone wants to have the conversation that Trick Williams has been rushed to the NXT title. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do with that. I mean, I can't just... I don't know what you want me to do with it. I can ignore it if you want. I mean, I don't know. I can't agree with it because I don't agree with it. He's been on NXT for years. He's had loads of matches. He's been on loads of house shows. He's had loads of segments. He's done loads of promos. He's done loads of vignettes. I mean, he's done loads of everything. And he's been in feuds. Do you remember his feud with Wes Lee? And he's held the mid-card championship. He's had tag matches. He's been in multi-man matches. I mean, I just don't know. I can't agree. There's no way of agreeing. It has to come down to the fact that you don't like him. That, to me, is what the truth is. The truth is that you don't like Trick, and that's absolutely fine. I don't have an argument for that. As I said, there's lots of people that I don't really feel their presence, but I really would abandon the he's been rushed thing, because that doesn't add up. It doesn't work. James said 3 years to get to the main title is not being rushed. Wes Lee was a great wrestler and a champ. Ethan has got main roster written on him, said T85. Paul said they need to fill the void when the main roster call-ups left and NXT needs some top stars. Brony said Trick is without doubt world championship material. Jason said Trick has improved leaps and bounds. His first few matches years ago were bad, but now he is the man. SP said Trick has been on NXT TV since October 2022. How is that being rushed? Well, I mean, look, Made by Dawn can answer that. I mean, that is, it's a point that they feel clearly passionate about that I don't agree with. Trick goes to the main roster and he just goes to the background. Personally, I have no problem with Trick, says Made by Dawn. I'm even more confused now then. If he was to turn around and say, look, I just don't like him, at least I'd understand. I can put down the whole Rush thing to the fact that you don't like him, but if you're now saying that you don't even have a problem with him, then the whole Rush thing makes even less sense to me, to be honest. I don't know. I feel like it's a conversation that needs abandoning because I don't get it. I certainly don't think if he goes to the main roster, he goes in the background. I think we're talking... I mean, maybe at first as he gets settled in, like what they've done with Elia, but eventually he finds his feet and... Talking future world champion, I've got no doubt about that. You know, the thing about him is that he's got the size, he's got the entrance music, he's got the presence, he's got the presentation, he can talk on the mic, like he's very clear, he gets to his point, he throws in a few nice lines, his size gives him a presence, his match quality is quite good. It's not 5-star classic stuff, but he can get in there and, you know, have some good matches. He's not someone that's going to go in the ring and then drown. For me, he ticks a lot of boxes. I'm trying to think what box he doesn't tick, actually. I mean, genuinely, I think he ticks the look, the promo, the presentation. Maybe that match quality just needs to be that little better, but, I mean, that'll just continue as he keeps learning. Shawn Michaels said... I saw an interview with Shawn, and you always have to take it with a pinch of salt. But Shawn said that he's not someone that wants to just go to the main roster and just make up numbers. He wants to go and be the guy. And he says, like, we're going to do everything we can to try and get him to that level. So I wonder if that plays into why... I mean, it'd be a weird thing to do, but for him to... have the title taken off of him, I wonder if that's part of the thing, really, part of the strategy, is him being champion might not help him become or learn how to be the guy. Perhaps they want him to have a bit more freedom than that. Let's have him fight Pete Dunne, let's have him fight all these different people and learn all these different things. And maybe if he's champion, he has to face certain people. Perhaps there's a lack of freedom with being champion. I don't know. I agree with Big Time. It's a bit perplexing as to why they took the belt off him. Right, here we go. Next match. So Charlie picked up the victory in the Heritage Cup match. It was, I don't know, not the barn burner that I was kind of hoping for. It was a nice solid start, but didn't massively kick on for me. Let's go match score for it as we are underway with these two that have been feuding for a little while now. Because he has been rushed, I don't see him with fan perspective, but logically I can't see him as a standout compared to another rushed wrestler, Bron Breakker. Who do we see as the next heavyweight champ? I think we've got... Maybe part of it is where we've got different ideas about rushed. Perhaps the rush thing is different. I mean, to me, if you've been in NXT for like 2-3 years and you've been used consistently and you're good enough, you've not been rushed. Maybe in your mind they have to be on the roster for 10 years or something like this, you know. But that's just not how we operate now, because we take athletic people like gymnasts, like football players. They spend time in the performance center, and then when they get to the level where they're TV ready, once they're deemed to be of that standard, then they get onto the NXT show. And then, of course, you know, you have to keep performing and earning your keep. And, you know, when they deem that you're ready for that little bit more, they give you that little bit more, which would be like a feud, a mid-card run, you know, something along those lines. Like, basically, you're climbing that ladder. I mean, by the time you get to the top of the tree, they're basically saying that you're there or thereabouts. By the time you're getting to, like, the world title, you're there or thereabouts. Now, the thing with Ethan Page is, from a wrestling perspective, because he's competed in TNA and he's competed in AEW, he doesn't need to learn how to wrestle. So he can come in and he doesn't need to learn how to promo. So he can come in and they can just take him straight to the title, which they've done. I mean, it would be hard to have got him to the belt much quicker, to be honest. So they've got him pretty much to the title. But that, to me, is rushed, because you are expecting me to have watched TNA, or you're expecting me to have watched AEW in order to know who this guy is. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. And, you know, the answer could be, we'll go and watch it then, but I shouldn't have to. I don't have time in my schedule, or even a desire, to go and watch other promotions and watch all these other stories and watch all these other shows. You know, I watch Raw, I watch NXT, I watch SmackDown, I watch the WWE product. So it's WWE's responsibility to introduce me to these people that they bring in. And so, you know, that's why, for me, he's been rushed. He's come in and he's been rushed, even though from a technical standpoint, he's got the wrestling ability in order to get to that level. I don't have any connection with his character. The opening segment, I mean, you might as well have just got someone in off the street. I don't care about him. He means nothing to me. And I don't think I'm alone in that, because they haven't introduced him. We're all kind of learning about him at the same time. Whereas with Trick Williams, I've watched, what was it? 2 years of Trick Williams. So for me, if he is of the level where they feel he can compete on regular takeovers, and he can be in big feuds, and he can compete for that top title, I don't think you can say that he's been rushed. Maybe he could have gone to the Indies and gone that route, but that's not a route that WWE look to go down anymore. In fact, they don't even like that so much, because a lot of people from the Indies bring in bad habits. So they don't even like people going that way anymore. We've actually got Trick at the moment. Lexis picking up the victory. He says, I might not have the NXT title, but I'm still looking to be the man here. One way or another, I'm going to figure your ass out. So a message being sent to Pete Dunne. There's Pete Dunne backstage. Do you think Trick deserves a rematch? Men like me like to shrug it off and move forward, says Pete. So Pete's got his eyes on the NXT Championship. So he doesn't seem to want to give Trick a rematch. Now we've got Fallon and all the women. Okay, so they were just talking about the Gauntlet match, but we don't know everyone that's in that yet. We've had 3 names. Now we've got Lola making her way down to the ring. So we need to do the poll for Lexis and for Eddy. We've done the poll for Charlie and Tony. Now we've got Lola. These matches are coming thick and fast. It's going to be her taking on Tatum next. Let's get this next poll up. This one is for the Lexis Eddy match. There we go. Bash at Berlin. Boom. Big Time said they built up Javon better than Ethan. We could make the argument Lexis still hasn't been fleshed out. He's just sort of there. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Javon. I think he is an incredible talent. But I mean, you can understand why they've not got him to the NXT title. I mean, again, go through the motions. Have him, you know, around for a little bit. Give him a mid-card run, but he'll be at that title soon enough. I mean, in-ring wise, so impressive. Paul said it was a great promo from Trick. I feel like he would benefit from a heel turn. Brony said there just isn't storyline in NXT that has got me intrigued. The last time it was Trick and Carmelo. James said, Days out of Julia and Steph coming in. Who do we think is going to be champ first? I think Julia. I don't know much about Steph, to be honest. So it's hard to say. I mean, I feel like Julia's been a lot more present online because her signing was sort of announced earlier. So Julia we've already had her in the crowd waving at NXT. I know that Steph has already competed in Mexico, but that was like a house show and kind of hidden away. Whereas, you know, we've had Julia in the crowd waving on a takeover type show. So I feel like Julia feels like she's been a bit more visible. So I've got to think she'll probably hit the ground running, and I would agree with Julia. But honestly, if they pull the trigger on Steph first, then so be it. I mean, again, another example, I suppose, of like two women that are coming in that already know how to wrestle, you know. But again, I would not go pushing them to the title super quick because I still don't know anything about them. If you look at like what we did with Roxanne, she came in and like we took a bit of time with her. You know, she got to the title pretty quick. But even so, she had a feud with Cora and we got to know a bit about her. I feel like I would do that with Julia and I'd do that with Steph. I would bring them in, have them do some feuds, then have them go after the title. So, because again, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they like, what they don't like, what their motivations are. Their backstories, you know, some sit-down interview stuff like that. I agree that would flesh them out. Would be really good. I could see Dakota getting let go. Nikki, also Cora Jade says sick Horror King Mayhem. Don't know about that. I don't know about people being let go. I don't want anyone being let go. I think, like, you know, people's contracts should be honoured. And, you know, I mean, we know that there's a lot of people that have got injury issues and whatever. Whether that ultimately leads in a few people's contracts not being renewed, I don't know. Sometimes those tough decisions do have to be made, unfortunately. Kalani Jordan is on commentary. Daze, genuinely, is NXT going to get the main event scene fixed? I know it's rebuilding, but they've had 4 months since the drafts. Well, I think they're just trying to invest in it now, aren't they? I mean, the thing with Ethan is that they've given him the belt, and I think they're having him do promos and putting him in feuds and having him talking to Ava, and they're basically, for those that haven't been introduced to him, they're introducing him. I mean, I could see him keeping that belt for a while and using the run as the vehicle to introduce him. It's just, you know, in the early stages, it's, for those of us that don't know him, it's hard to care. Whilst he's kind of, you know, got the belt now. But fast forward, couple of months, couple of feuds, more shows, more promos, more segments. You'll get used to him then. Trick's obviously around that title picture. They've dropped Pete Dunne down there, I think, to try and strengthen that top end. Sean Spears, I don't really know what you do with Sean Spears, to be honest. I mean, I think they've tried to use him in that spot, but I don't know that that's really working. Javon, they've kind of had a little look with Javon, haven't they? I must admit, I'm really surprised they've not pulled the trigger on Duke Hudson, and I'm really surprised we haven't done more with Tony. You know, both of them were around during NXT 2.0 at the very start. You know, both of them are people that I thought we would have done a lot more with. I mean, neither of them have been NXT champion. I think Tony has competed for it. I don't know that Duke Hudson has. But it does feel like Duke Hudson should be a bit further along than what he is. He just constantly seems to be a bit of a second thought, you know, an afterthought. Single leg crab. Whoa, Wendy! Wendy has just grabbed a hold of Kalani. So Tatum in the ring. Tatum was attacked last week by Wendy. And right now we've got Tatum in there with Lola Vice. Tatum is climbing up. Lola's down. She goes up, rolls through. Lola spinning back fist. Down went Tatum. 2, 3. Lola picks up a big win over Tatum Paxley. And really the story of this was the attack on the outside by Wendy, who attacked Kalani. Boom. Spinning back fist. Down she went. And Lola just checking on Tatum. Well, she might regret that. She might regret that, to be honest, if Tatum thinks she's got a new friend. Wendy on the outside holding up that championship. Kalani down. So it looks like Wendy has set her sights on that mid-card women's championship. Now we're back to this tombola. God, these matches are really coming thick and fast. So it looks like we're going to get the next names. Jada Parker is the next one in. Carmen Petrovich, Kendall Gray, they're the other names. So Brinley misses out. Is that Izzy Dame? Who's that in the background? Oh, she missed out, didn't she? Izzy Dame walks off. And there's Wes. So I think we're going to be hearing from Wes next. So we need the Lola and Tatum scores. Hello, what's this? Is this a commercial for... So we got Lola. No Mercy. When is No Mercy? I think, is it the day after Bash in Berlin? Yeah, Sunday, September 1st. Right. Boom. NXT hasn't been brilliant this year. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, if we look at the community scores, the majority of the shows towards the bottom have been NXTs. I don't know. It's one of those. I mean, I think we've had good under Triple H, and I think that Sean's come along and took over, and I think it's a good replacement, but I don't think he's as good as Triple H. And I think, you know, there are times where you can look at a few of the booking decisions and be like, why have we done this? What are we doing here? I'm sure there's logic behind it, but sometimes it does just seem a bit off. So it's very difficult, though, isn't it? I mean, to book a weekly wrestling show. I mean, and get every plate spinning. I mean, it's not an easy job. And I think it's, you know, it's still got good elements to it, and we've still had some really good weeks. I mean, there's still been some really good moments, but yeah, just a bit more of a mixed bag really this year compared to last year. AB says Izzy needs improvement, but she's kind of lost in the shuffle. Maybe her and Kiana could be a tag team. Big Time said NXT fell off for me around about April time. Sick Horror Kingman said they all look the same. They don't help, most of them being blonde. The janitor said still think black and gold NXT was just a different breeds. Yeah, we had so good at that time that, you know, it's just unfair really to compare this to, like, say 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. It's just, that was just so special. But it was different as well because, as we've said, we did bring in a lot more indie talent that already knew how to wrestle. They didn't need, like, the training. So it meant that, like, they just hit the ground running and you just had, like, amazing matches. I suppose in a way it'd be like watching Ring of Honor in its prime, you know? We had Kevin Steen, we had El Generico, you know, we had, obviously Neville was down there. Asuka coming in, Balor coming in from New Japan. You know, Kushida coming in, and Hideo Itami coming in, Samoa Joe coming in. You know, these are established names that have already got fan bases. We don't do it as much now. Instead, we try and train in-house. But as I've said, I think they've shown just what a phenomenal job they can do with in-house training. Look at, you know, the success of Bianca Belair, who came from CrossFit. Look at the success of Tiffany Stratton, who, you know, in no time whatsoever has just took to it. But then if you've got the athleticism, you can just pick it up so quick. If you've got that willingness to work and to push yourself, and you've got that athletic base, you know, you can achieve incredible things very quickly. Look at flipping Logan Paul. He's had about 12 matches. Right, here we go. Here's Wes Lee. This is going to be how we start hour number 2. Crowd are booing. Understandable. Okay. Last week I shocked myself too, says Wes. I believed I was going to be winning those tag titles, but Zach let me down again. So he's talking about how he got let down and he'd been let down before. They doubted me. People were doubting me. What will Wes do now? People only saw me as being a tag team guy, so it made sense. You all witnessed it firsthand. So he talks about how he broke his back. It feels like they're just coasting towards the CW era, says James. You'd think they'd want it to be a lot more than that, though. You'd think they'd want to build it up, like, you know, really get things going. I do like this for Wes. I think the split with Wes has been, like, really good. You don't know this, but Zach does. I'm done being a caretaker. I'm done worrying about what you're going to say or do. So he says, I was just so done of, like, basically babysitting. Now, where I want to go, I know I can't have my best friends riding my coattails. They only came back for the WWE rub, he says. I know how this is going to go. I do think some of this promo needs a bit more punch to it. Oh, so it looks like it might be Wes against Wentz at No Mercy. I'm going to show you No Mercy when I beat the living hell out of you. Once that's done, you can go back to TNA and be a TNA wrestler. While I aspire to bigger and better things. I can't imagine TNA are thrilled with that line. They're not booing him or anything. Like, there's no crowd reaction here. I wish you the best in all your future endeavors, says Wes. Here's Pete Dunne. I like the turn for Wes. I think this could make him quite interesting, but that promo felt like it needed more punch. Needed more venom. Needed to be more vicious. Here's Pete. Pete said, finally, someone started to figure this out. My eyes are fixed firmly on that NXT championship. Here's Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry pushes Wes into Pete Dunne. Shot coming in there by Pete Dunne. Down goes Joe Hendry. Looks like Wes and Pete are going at it. I don't think Wes knows that Hendry pushed Pete into Wes. Yeah, we've got let them fight chance. Okay, we got Fraxium. So these two are just talking about how they've not quite been on the same page. Okay. They are defending those titles tonight. They're defending against Chase U. I wonder if we do get new champs. We should do that as a poll, shouldn't we? Will we get new champs? We get new champs tonight. Okay, here's Tony. Tony obviously losing the Heritage Cup earlier. Here's Oba Femi. Yeah, he's going to be taking on Otis next. Okay. Okay. It's really interesting because Oba Femi did a promo last week and he got interrupted by Tony. And then Tony was just talking and Oba Femi has interrupted. So it's quite clear that those two are going to be on a collision course. And that could be quite a good feud, actually. Tony against Oba Femi. That could be quite fun. I'd be down for that. This match should bang so hard. Daze, I don't think NXT will ever reach the heights of Black and Gold again. That was a legendary time. I agree. I agree. But I don't think that should be the... Well, I mean, look, you can have it as the benchmark. You can have it as the... This is the goal. That's the mountain top, if you will, right? But it's a bit unfair to kind of judge its success by that. Because genuinely, for me at that time, I would say that in 2015... 2016, NXT Black and Gold was my favorite show. I used to love watching that above Raw, above SmackDown. It was just amazing. The thing was, it was an hour, and it was, you know, it was basically all the good stuff that you get on a show, but just condensed down to an hour. And, you know, the stars you was watching, you just knew you was watching like the big stars of tomorrow, which is still the vibe you get now. You know, but I think what's mixed in a little bit more now are those talents that are still at the early stages. You know, you might watch a Brinley Reese, or you might watch, Luca Crucifino, right? You might watch these people that are, you know, quite early in their development. But mixed in there, you get your Carmelos, your Bronze, your Tricks, your Tonys, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I think that back then, you know, to compare that 1 hour show to the 2 hours that we get now is obviously very difficult. And that I don't think that's like anything that I do. I don't judge it by those standards. But it's just, you know, can we get like a really good, engaging show that's got some really good storylines on it? And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I think by and large this year has been a real mixed bag. But we've still got great talent and we've still got great matches that we can do. I mean, listen, if we do Tony against Oba Femi, like the family trying to figure out how to bring Oba Femi down, that could be really good. You know, we might be about to get new champs and we might split up Nathan, who I said before, Dave Meltzer said that he sees a little bit of a young Will Ospreay in Nathan Frazer, which I had never considered before. But when you look at Nathan that way and think of him as maybe a young Will Ospreay, you do start to then get a bit excited about, wow, what does the future actually hold for him? I don't know that he's got the personality, the charisma of a Will Ospreay. Right? I don't know that he's going to go on to achieve that, but I don't know what he's going to go on to achieve. In ring-wise, he is very impressive. Very impressive. So, you know, I'm certainly not saying he's going to go on to be Will Ospreay, but someone like Nathan, I think you can look at him and see, okay, he's in a tag team. When he was solo, when he was on his own, he was kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit. But what about if we do get the right stories, the right creative, and he really starts to click, you know? You could really have something with Nathan Frazer. So I feel like, and then of course Julia coming in, Steph coming in, like, I feel like you can look at, and even the relationship with TNA. We had a look, didn't we, at their roster? They've got some great talent. They've got some great talent. There's definitely people in TNA that I would like to see come over and do some stuff in NXT. So Yeah, you know, we're in an all right place. We really are. It's just they just can't seem to get consistency with the show quality for me. Here's Chase U. Israel said that's disrespectful to Nathan Frazer. If one person wins, we all win in Chase U. You believed in me, Thea. And I can't tell you how much that means to me. I feel like you lot are 100% behind me now. Are we foreshadowing a split? This is going to be the title reign to end all title reigns. Okay, here's Oba Femi then. So Oba Femi against Otis coming up next. Okay, here we go. Oba Femi, man, his presentation is really good. Oba Femi making his way down to the ring. Let's go. This match better get some time, said Mitchell. Duke Hudson's going to turn tonight, said Brony. Do you think so? James said Ridge is dull as fudge. I mean, he didn't quite say fudge, but I went with fudge. Okay, Oba Femi in the ring. As we said, really good presentation of him. Bum, 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 bum. Here's Alpha Academy. Here is Maxine. Here is Otis. Here is Akira. So, yeah, this was going to be an open challenge, but on Raw, we kind of found out who was going to accept it. Otis making his way down to the ring. Hard as a rock. There's Maxine. She is being helped up into the ring. Oba Femi against Otis is gonna be a lot of fun. Bum ba ba dum ba ba dum bum. Right, they give him a kiss as we're about to get underway with this open challenge. Let's go. Time to move Oba into the main event NXT title picture, says Paul. Damon said Psycho Dad, Jesse Ridgway, Larry Ulassi, Chris Ulassi. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who those people are. Here's Otis. Oba. Okay, Oba Femi, absolute man mountain. Hands over that North American Championship to the ref. We will be getting started with this. There is a massive bruise on the right shoulder of Otis, according to Vic Joseph. Manuel said, thought on Julia and Stephanie to appear on a next PLE or sooner. I have got in my folder, actually, when Julia's last appearance is in Japan. And so I can tell you when that is being advertised. That is being advertised for the 19th of August. So the next PLE is No Mercy, which is the 1st of September. So yes. Yes, for Julia. I don't know about Stephanie. I mean, all I know is that she's signed. So she should be available. So, but do you bring them both in at the same time? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. Maybe you bring in one, then bring in the other, like, you know, at a month later or something like that. Headlock at the moment by Oba Femi. King Eddy said, free hard as a rock, Otis. Free hard as a rock, Otis. The Reign General said, I think Oba is going to be a huge star. What are your thoughts? I think he could be. I think that there's a lot of work to be done because his match quality is still average. I think that he is still relatively green. I mean, it's not that long since he won the breakout tournament. But yeah, I mean, look, he's got, again, we go back to the boxes. You know, for me, he's got the presentation. That box is ticked. I think Mike promo-wise, he is okay. I don't know about the accent. They have him do the accent, and he doesn't need the accent. So I don't know about that. But, I mean, the fact that it's one of those where I could see him dropping that accent one day. A bit like Kofi dropping the Jamaican accent. I could see Oba Femi doing the same. So, but, I mean, you know, his promos are okay. I mean, there's not really any lines that kind of blow your mind. He plays that kind of monster well. I think that's okay. It's the box is probably ticked, but could be a bit more captivating. Same with his matches, really. I mean, he plays the big guy well, and we've seen some big improvements from him recently. His matches have got more enjoyable as I think he's starting to structure them better. Before he would go in and just do a sequence of moves. Now he lets those moments breathe a bit more and brings the crowd in a bit more. And kind of when he does go for a big move, he allows it to, you know, breathe, as we said. And so, yeah, I think match-wise, I'm definitely seeing improvement there. And yeah, I mean, as I said, like the boxes are there or thereabouts. So once he's put it all together, then I think, you know, then we're really talking about someone that can really get somewhere. But I love the fact that he's in NXT. I love the fact that we're giving him regular TV time. I love the fact that he's getting regular segments, because if you didn't do that, you would run the risk of him being the next Omos. I feel sorry for Omos, because with Omos was a giant, and I think WWE didn't want him to go through NXT because they wanted the shock. Like, they wanted him to arrive on the main roster and for him to be this presence. But the problem is, you didn't have him go through NXT. He was at the PC, and obviously he's been trained at the PC. But you can't really put a price on being out there live in front of an audience on TV. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't really replicate that in the PC. So I feel like we did him a bit dirty, really. We kind of skipped out on like a load of training that would have massively helped him, and he had to do his learning on the main roster. And I don't know, it's been limited, hasn't it, with Omos? Oba Femi, even though he's not as big, it would be doing him a disservice if we wasn't treating him the way that we've treated him. So yeah, I think he'll be in NXT for quite a while to come. I mean, as we said, it's not that far removed since he won the breakout tournament. Fast forward a couple of years and he'll be there or thereabouts. So, yeah, I like him. Tony K said, I think I'm hearing a halftime song soon. Oh, I think we're a bit too past it, aren't we? 22 minutes past. We've only got 38 minutes left. Who's stronger out of Odyssey Jones or Oba? Don't know. That's one of those where if we saw the numbers from the combine, that would be quite interesting. I would debut them at different times, says James. In my opinion, at the same time on the same show, they could overshadow each other. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I also think as well that as wrestling fans, we like having surprises. So bringing them in at different shows would be quite good, because then, of course, we can build up to the next show where we get Julia or we get Steph. Sidewalk slam there by Otis and shoulder up. I'm a proud Homo sapien, says I am your father. Aubrey said, whoa, Omos is a draw. But Dr. Luchalala said Omos literally just stands there. Paul said, if Trick was rushed, what was Oba skyrocketed? I don't know. We've got Otis and we got Oba on the outside. Oba charging over, colliding into Otis. Otis goes into the ring steps. WWE giving Steph time to finish move into Orlando. That would make sense, Deshaun. That would make sense. Omos is basically a yellow belt. He can kick and punch. Yeah, I mean, like, now that we've seen him, why don't we put him back in NXT? I don't know why we don't do that for him, you know? Now that we've seen him and, like, the shock of his size is been done, why not put him down in NXT and give him, like, a good run? Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps they're thinking that the best use of him will always be to just bring him in a few times a year. Perhaps that's what they're thinking. Well, so perhaps they've tried to, like, really train him, and it's been quite limited results. Edward said, you are actually the best. Edward, shout out to you. I hope you're having a good day. IWC doesn't realize that losing builds character, says AB Jobson. Omos is Giant Gonzalez 2.0. William said Omos is quick and agile. He is so big, him doing normal wrestling moves does not work. He cannot hide the moves. His opponent cannot do much as well. It's nearly impossible. I am your father says, wasn't Omos's last match against Brock at WrestleMania 39? Do you know, I can't remember. I mean, honestly, he may have been in, like, some battle royal or something, but I can't recall a singles match since then. I mean, obviously, MVP was his manager as well, and MVP has seemingly just been let go, so where does that leave Omos? I mean, I really don't know. You'd think that you might be able to put him in, like, a faction and get some out of him that way, you know? I feel sorry for him, I really do. I think that, you know, as Williams just said, he's not clumsy. He's not as awkward. You know, I mean, Giant Gonzalez, like, it was difficult for him to move. Like, his mobility was really restricted. Same with Great Khali. When you get to that kind of size, it's hard for you to actually even move. There's no evidence of that with Omos. Like, he's quite fluid. He's really good for his size in that regard. But they get judged, don't they, by the match quality, and for someone of that size, it's going to be really difficult, as William said so. But there must be a way of, you know, there must be a way of working with him and getting more out of him. But I don't know. I don't know what their goal is with him, to be honest. They might look at it as just like, we'll bring him in as an attraction for the odd thing, you know. If we need a mystery partner, if we need someone for a battle royal, we'll just bring him in. Outside of that, we'll focus on other people. Love that ring gear that Otis has got. Very big Van Vader. Chucks his shirt into the crowds. Here we go, Caterpillar. Whoa, boom. 1, 2. Shoulder up by Oba. Oba Femi not having everything his own way here. Otis proving to be a bit of a challenge for him. Oh, wow, Vader bomb. 2. An Otis bomb. Wow, gets a 2. Oba in the corner, and Otis Throwing in some shots. Omos MVP setup always reminded me of Carl Lee, and his manager says, "Oh my God! Sit down powerbomb! Gets it for Oba Femi!" My God. There was some impressive stuff in there. That Vader bomb, that sit down powerbomb. Just two big men just chucking each other around. Yeah, I mean, this really is heavyweight professional wrestling. I mean, you know, if we had a cruiserweight division, neither of these guys would be in that. This is two heavyweights battling. And Oba Femi coming out on top. Right, let's end that poll about if we're going to get new champs or not, because we're going to have to review this match. Here's Brooks Jensen. Throw Bronson Reed in that match and they'd break the ring. Will we get new champs? 52% say yes. 32% say no. 14% say I don't know. Is this Sean Spears? Yeah. That was perfect, Brooks. So he's talking about how he's got someone looking out for him, and it is Sean Spears. There's Anofi and Blades. He's being manipulated. Here's Hank and Tank. So Hank and Tank said they've got a match next Tuesday. Izzy Dame making her way down to the ring. Right. What was Tommy's big announcement? His big announcement was that he will continue doing streaming if he's able to. Big announcement. Right. Good match, said Miss Clown. Miss Clown, hope you're well. Jack said Wyatt 6 creating a path for Otis to go and shine. Right, commercial break. As Izzy Dame makes her way down to the ring. I will never understand why HBK continues to invest in people like Brooks, Hank, Tank, Sean Spears. It's disgusting. Well, I feel like we haven't done anything with Brooks. Brooks is like a youngster who was in the tag team, Brooks, Briggs, Jensen. Brooks and Briggs. Is it Brooks and Briggs? I can't even remember what they were called now. But they obviously, we gave them a little go, got them on TV. They were fine. I thought them with Fallon was all right. I didn't mind that group. Then they split them up. And so then at that point you go, right, what do we do with him? And obviously he went away for a bit. And I really was on board with his gimmick of being that kind of old school throwback. And you know what's so funny is I think, haven't AEW got a tag team like that right now? I saw they've got like this old retro throwback tag team that kind of feel very 1980s. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they're on Collision or whatever, Ring of Honor. I don't know. But aren't they called like the Night Riders or something like this, you know? They feel very kind of Sting warrior, you know. They've got that kind of vibe. But like the Blade Runners. But they're not called the Blade Runners, obviously. This new group's like the Night Riders or something like that. But to me, I was looking at his gimmick, Brooks Jensen's gimmick, and I was like, yeah, I think you could get something out of that. And then we didn't even really give it a go. Instead, we just turned to the alcohol thing, and I was like, okay, well, where does this go in? And I don't know. It's not massively done it for me yet, but I think he's still young. I think there's still a chance to save him. I don't get the Hank Tank team, to be honest. But I'll stand up for Brooks. Izzy has got the same gimmick as most blondes have. I need Hank and Tank away from TV. I don't know about... I mean, Hank, I'm really not sure about. I mean, the look isn't there for me when it comes to him. I do struggle, really. I mean, Tank... I don't know what you could do with Tank. He seems to have a bit more charisma, a bit more personality. He seems to be a bit more bubbly. I feel like with Tank, could you put him in a different team with a different partner? Could you put him in a faction? Could you do something with Tank, maybe? Hank, I just don't know. That'd be an interesting challenge, though. If you was put in charge of NXT Creative and you had to book Hank, like, what would you do? What would you do? How would you book him? You got to try and get the best out of him, so what would you do? That would be tricky. I think it'd be possible. I'd like to think it'd be possible. I'd like to think I'd be able to do something. I don't know what I would do, though. That would need some thought. But you might get something out of Tank. Russell Wyatt, shout out to you. Hope you're well. Brooks needs a match with Cena, says Matter. Where is Cameron Grimes? He got released, but Bishop sadly got released. Both Hank and Tank, they're not it, said Six Horror Kingman. Brinley is like her group Anofi and Blade. They're jobbers, says AB Jobson. Toby said, I watched the Dom interview talking about teaming with Logan. Most wanted, that would be Heat, says Toby. Right, we are at commercial break. And we are just waiting to go back. There's been loads of commercials tonight. I think it's the same amount every week, but it just feels like there's loads tonight. They're just showing us a glimpse at the SummerSlam tryouts. There was Sean and CM Punk. There was Bianca. Chelsea coming down, having a few words. That would be daunting, wouldn't it, to be at that tryout? Because you'd be looking around and there'd just be so many good-looking, fit people. You'd be like, how the hell do I stand out here? How do I stand out in this group? I mean, that would be hard. I suppose, like, athletic-wise, you probably wouldn't. But, I don't know, would your promo have to do a bit of heavy lifting for you? Perhaps your personality in your promo would have to be where you really shine. Because I've got to think all of them. I mean, I think a lot of people would be able to jump higher than you, jump further than you, run quicker than you. Like, I don't know that any of those you're going to really stand out in. But, or certainly I wouldn't. I know my promos and my personality would have to do a lot of heavy lifting there. Daunting, not easy. Right, so Izzy against Brinley is our next match. Izzy against Brinley. Right, let's end this last poll. This last poll was the Oba Otis match. Got a good rating. 10 and 2. James said you get in by actually being talented. Talent overlooks. Oh, talent overlooks, definitely. It's not quite the wrestling world, though, is it? Unfortunately, we know that looks... I can understand that, though. The look is very important. You know, your presentation, your look is important, but talent should always be above it. Brinley working on the arm. Are you watching UFC on Saturday? I am, yes. Izzy Dame against Brinley. That's what we got right now. Oh, goes back, trying to get back up. Oof. Over the top. Gets grabbed. Backbreaker. Brinley down. Izzy back up on her feet. We got Brinley over in the corner. Izzy charging over. Collides into Brinley. Referee coming in and pulling her away. Who is your favourite Wyatt? 6 members said Wrestle Wyatts. Probably Howdy, and if not Howdy, probably Nikki. I feel that Nikki has done a fantastic job. I think her look is like really creepy, really cool. I like her look. I think I've felt sorry for Nikki for a long time as well. I feel like it's lovely for Rowan. I suppose at this stage, anything for Rowan's a bonus ball. He's kind of had his career, if you will. It wasn't the longest career, but it was a really good career to be in the Wyatt family, you know? And be in the Bludgeon Brothers. So I'm really pleased for him. But I look at someone like Nikki, who I just feel like she's never really quite got going. I know she had a good tag team with Alexa for a bit, but I feel like this, you know, she tried the Nikki ASH thing. It didn't work. I feel like this is her time now. This is Nikki's time. Dexter had only really just got going, hadn't he? We didn't see much of Dexter on the main roster. And Joe Gacy didn't even make it to the main roster, so I feel like for those reasons, more than anything else, it would be Nikki. But obviously, Bo, with everything he's been through with his brother, and I think the evolution of the Howdy character, because Howdy was not a character I was keen on when I first saw him. But I think the way that they've managed to repackage that character has been brilliant. It's one of those where, you know, I saw Howdy and I was a bit critical of him when I first saw him because I just didn't... I thought there was potential, but it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. The graphics didn't feel right. The mask, the look, it didn't feel right. His original look felt like a pervy old man. You know, like it didn't feel quite right. Now, wow, so much better. So much better. The evolution of that character, I mean, brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, don't forget, when we saw Howdy, OG Howdy, he'd walk into the entranceway, he'd grab his coat and he'd be doing the... You know what I mean? Like some sort of pantomime villain. You look at what he's doing now, so much better. So I think he's doing his brother proud. I think the way that they've evolved that Howdy character is brilliant. And Bo was someone that never quite got going on the main roster, you know, so got a lot of time for Bo. So yeah, I'd probably say Uncle Howdy first, then Nikki, then Rowan, then Dexter, maybe Gacy at the bottom when it comes to favourite. Okay, win for Izzy Dame. No great surprise. We're backstage with Ava. Super exciting time. No Mercy Gauntlet match coming up next week. Days, I'm concerned that Liverpool will fall apart this season. Yes, we look great but the Zubamendi deal fell through. Reports say we won't sign anyone, which is bad. Well, I think it was always going to be difficult after Klopp left, to be honest. No one is on my level, said Roxanne. They're going to be waiting a long, long time if they want to be the next Roxanne Perez. Okay, so a bit of sass from Roxanne Perez. Okay. I think Oba Gunther would be a banger, said Nicole. Brony says, I think we can all agree that Roxanne is much better than Liv Morgan, and she's only 22. Okay, so No Mercy, September 1st. That's only a few weeks away, isn't it? We're not just heading to Denver. Oh, hello. Shawn Michaels going to say a couple of words. October 1st is when we move to CW. That will be big, won't it? Do you know what? I think James is right. I think maybe we are drifting towards that move. Because when we move to CW, that's when surely we're going to go, boom, loads of big names, loads of excitement. Perhaps we are just in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment where we're just waiting for October. It's not that far away, is it? In all fairness. Like a month and a half, it's like 6 weeks. Could be that. Could be that. We look good in pre-season. We won't sign anyone. That is the concern. Yeah, I think it will be a tough season for Liverpool, to be honest. Pre-season don't mean diddly. So I just think that this is going to be tricky because you got a new manager who's going to make mistakes. You know, he's facing teams for the first time. You tend to see that with new managers. It can be a little bit difficult. So, we'll have to see. This year might be difficult. You might have to just write this season off mentally, and whatever you get is a bonus. Right, main event. Do we think WWE is going in for a boom period in the UK once everything goes to Netflix? For some reason, it feels like WWE is trapped in a tiny box, with BT Sport only getting 110,000 viewers. I don't know, to be honest, but because, I mean, how many people are going to tune in on Netflix? I mean, they may have projections, but genuinely, I don't know. The great thing with Netflix is that you can watch it live or you can watch it at any point. I mean, that is true of TNT Sports, but the difference is how easy is it for people to find a show once it's aired? You know, for example, here in the UK, I think if you want to watch a replay of something that's been on TNT Sports, I think you go to Discovery Plus. But how many people are doing that? How many people are going out their way and going to Discovery Plus? You see, you don't go to Discovery Plus to watch the show. You go to your TV. So you're having to go to a completely different place to watch the replay. Whereas with Netflix, if you watch it live, it'll be on Netflix. If you want to watch the replay, well, it's on demand. So it's on Netflix. It's just always there. Everything's in the same place. And more people are going to have Netflix than are going to have BT. So I think the viewing figures are definitely going to be increased if you include, like, I don't know, the first few days of views. I don't know how you would even judge it. I mean, do you do the first week? Do you do the first 2 weeks? Where do you draw the line? Watching live, I don't know if there'll be much difference though, because don't forget, in the UK the show's there at 1 in the morning. So I think if you're watching live, you're staying up for the show specifically. I don't know that too many people extra are going to be watching in the UK live, which is why I'm saying the on-demand thing, the replay thing might be a big deal in the UK, but how many is that going to be worth? What does that look like? No idea. No idea. I think the viewing figures, though, for, you know, watching the live show, if you're telling me is 110,000, is that going to be any different when we go to Netflix? I would expect an increase rather than a decrease. But what that looks like, don't know. Really don't know. How many more people are going to be up at that time that are then also going to watch wrestling? It's the great unknown, innit? Right. Chase you. Axiom. Let's go. TNT Sport is much more expensive. Yep. Will ratings even still be a thing on Netflix? Hope not. The ratings talk, it does my head in, says James. It's a good point. I don't know. I don't know. Netflix is in 16 million homes and TNT Sport is in 1.7 at £30 a month. With Netflix, more people binge watch. Casuals in the UK will see it pop up. Yeah, but again, it's at 1 in the morning. How many casuals are around at 1 in the morning? I mean, Netflix can be in more homes, and I don't dispute that it is, but how many people are going to be up at 1 in the morning on a Monday night? I would expect it to go up then go down, but I don't know that you're seeing, like, I don't know what kind of an increase you're seeing there. Edward said, where do we see United finishing? I feel top 4 if you play well. Well, that's what we're hoping for. What do you have for breakfast? I don't have breakfast, but don't have it. Tend to wake up and then just wait for dinner. So if I get up at around about 3 or 4, I mean, I'll eat at about 7. So I just tend to have dinner. That's my breakfast. Here's Ashanti. With Netflix, WWE will know exactly how many people watch the show. No more made-up ratings. That's a good point, actually. They should know the exact number, shouldn't they? Rather than the Nelson rating or the Nielsen rating. Okay, so we've got Ashanti going over, having a word with, I forget this guy's name. Is it Dion? Game, recognized game. What are you reading? Okay, so it looks like we're getting a match between those two. Okay, so Joe Hendry against Wes Lee against Pete Dunne. Winner faces Ethan Page at No Mercy. So triple threat match. I mean, I've got to think that's going to be Joe Hendry that wins because Wes Lee's a heel. Pete Dunne's a heel. Ethan's a heel. Then we got a gauntlet match. Ren against The Riz, against Sol Ruka, against Jada Parker, against Kendall Gray, against Carmen Petrovic. No one needs to watch at 1 in the morning. People can watch the next day. People can watch on their phones. You don't need to be on your couch, says Big Time. Yeah, but again, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? You know, that 110,000 is that live viewers. So, again, or does that include catch-up as well? So the point is that 110, if that's live viewers, I don't know how many more are going to be watching Netflix live. No, I mean, I don't think anyone does, to be honest. I mean, again, I would see it going up than down, but I don't know that we're talking about a massive increase. I mean, are we talking about, I don't know, 50%? Does it go from 110 to 150? Does it go to 200,000? I mean, I certainly don't think it's going to be 1 million or anything like that. I think it's, you know, a complete guess. Complete just pulling it out of thin air. 200-something thousand, 250, something like that. Say it's doubles. Because I just don't, it's 1 in the morning. If you're going to include catch-ups and all of that, I don't know. But then if you include catch-ups on TNT Sport, I don't know what that number is. Here's Chase You. The 6 Horror Kingman said Netflix going to drop WWE like they do their shows. Oh, I don't know. They've spent a lot of money. It's not necessarily how many will watch, but it's about being available. Think of the accessibility. I'm more referring to WWE being more popular in the UK. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't think it makes a massive difference, is my honest answer. I don't think it makes a massive difference because I think that live, you're not going to see a massive increase. And I think on catch-up, it's going to be accessible, and it'll be, you know, arguably more present for people. But how many people are going to choose to click on it? How many people are going to start watching the wrestling that never watched it before? How many people are going to take that chance on it? I genuinely don't know that it's any sort of sizable number. Clearly more people will. Clearly more people will, right? I have no doubt it will see an increase in people watching wrestling. And of course, I really hope it does. But are we talking that that is going to be a sizable number of people that are now going to start watching wrestling that didn't before? I've got my doubts about that. I got my doubts. I don't know that people will start clicking. Like, maybe it'll be easier for kids to find. Perhaps it'll bring in, like, I could see the kids taking a chance on it. But I think the truth is with wrestling, that wrestling is the kind of thing you get into as a kid. I don't think you tend to click on it when you're an adult. I think, you know, there is a bit of a stigma around wrestling. And I think that wrestling is one of those things where I could see a lot of adults just not, I don't watch, that's not for me. Just not clicking on it because they're looking for dramas and they're looking for, I don't know, true crime and stuff like that, you know? I could really see it being a case where it's more accessible, but that doesn't mean that adults are clicking on it. Kids is very interesting, though. Because if you make it more accessible for kids and put it in front of youngsters, they'll take a chance on it. You know, they'll definitely give it a go. I mean, it's not aimed at kids, but it is very family friendly, isn't it? Very family friendly. And I think this is why they won't want to move away from that. They will not want to put it behind any sort of parental control. Because I do think the truth is that adults don't tend to come into wrestling. You don't tend to find adults that get into wrestling for the first time at the age of 30, you know? It tends to be something that you kind of watch when you are young. So I do agree that it'll be more accessible, more available, but I would counter it with, I just don't know how many adults are going to click on it. How many adults are going to take the chance on it. It will be an increase, but I don't know that it's sizable. But again, that's me pulling it out the air and just giving like my gut feelings on it. But I would feel different if you put it in front of kids more. Which is why I think if you make it more, like, move away from the PG rating, I think that would be a disaster, personally. I think that would be a really bad move. From a business point of view, I think it'd be a really bad move. You get a bit more swearing. You get a bit more, like, you know, bra and panties and all that kind of stuff. But what you would lose is you would maybe lose the ability for kids to watch it because it'd be behind some sort of parental control. I am going to get my head down, Edwards. Good night. Do we think WWE will do a PLE in Brazil? I think they should. And they do seem to be more open to going around the world. WWE is the thing without Netflix. It's just another contract for WWE. Netflix shows are from nothing, mostly. Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression, which was better? Don't know. I think it depends, really. It's personal taste, isn't it? A lot of people would say Attitude Era. I really enjoyed aspects of both, really. So, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, if you was to watch one of those eras, which one would you choose to watch? I feel like the Attitude Era was more extreme. I think the highs were higher, but I think the lows were lower. Whereas I think that Ruthless Aggression was a bit more solid, maybe not as spectacular. It's difficult, that is. Which one would you watch if you could just watch one? Probably Attitude Era. Probably Attitude Era, but it is very close, actually. For me, it's close. For others, it might not be. But for me, it's close. Because for as much good stuff there was in the Attitude Era, I thought there was some bad stuff as well. Golden Era is my favourite, no doubt in my mind. I'd be watching 85 to 92. Add 93, I love 93 as well. So 85 to 93. Definitely, that's my era. But you could have 96 to 2001, 2002. Or, I don't know when Ruthless Aggression kind of ended, really. 2010? Something like that. 6 Hurricane Men says, Netflix has Minions on shows on them after the second season. They might do right by WWE. Oh, I'm sure they will. They're spending so much money. I've no doubt that they'll have banners and advertisements and they'll really have it all singing or dancing. But as I said, I think to make it appeal to adults is going to be very difficult. Adults that have watched it before will be into it, but adults that have never watched it before, I think that's going to be tricky. If they can crack that, though, wow. TKO call recently, UFC sponsorship in Q2 was up 16%. WWE was up 3%. WrestleNomics theorized that advertisers still have a wrestling stigma. It's interesting. I think as well, though, WWE has only really started doing advertising. Like, I mean, it's not that long that we've been putting sponsors on the barricades. You know, so LED ring posts. It's what, 5 years, something like that. LEDs on the barricades, couple of years. So I feel like it's really early for WWE. I think sponsoring the no. Brought to you by Snickers. Like, things like that we've had forever. But a lot of the other sponsor opportunities are pretty new, to be honest. So I think that's definitely an area they're looking to grow. Like, you can tell that with the stupid sponsors on the ring mats. Oh my God. Amazing by Nathan. Shoulder up. King Yeti said, Undisputed is my era. Ah, very good. Undisputed. Right, we are underway with this title match, and it's amazing, fast-paced action. We didn't give these guys loads of time to cook tonight. Stomp on the back there by 1, 2, Andre Chase. Oh, going for the 3, but Nathan makes the save. So Nathan is down. Andre Chase getting back up to his feet. Toby said, I love Attitude Era, but this era is showing signs of being the best ever. 2 or 3 times, like Mania, Slam, Backlash. The whole card has been awesome. Yeah, we are in a special time right now. It is easy to forget that. Top rope Inzaguri there. Tag being made by Nathan. Looks like we're gonna get a Spanish fly, are we? I don't know what he was kind of going for. Axiom, oh, went for a kick, but almost kicked Nathan. Axiom goes to the outside, lands on top of Ridge. Then we've got Nathan going up, looking for a superplex. Boom! Big superplex. Goes up. Oh, lovely tag team work. These two working so well together. Shoulder up there by Andre Chase. Yeah, that was a big kick out. Crowd are shocked by that. Yeah, loud NXT chant. This is unsurprisingly, the best thing that's been on the show. I'd say this just beats out the Oba Otis match, which I did also enjoy. Charlie Tony had some moments. But I didn't really feel like the Charlie Tony match quite got to the level I was hoping for. But this is doing really well. A couple of big chops coming in there by Andre. Going against the ropes. Clothesline there by Axiom. Big boot coming in by Andre Chase. He goes up, lands on his feet, kick to the midsection. Looking to pick him up. He's got him up. Backstabber. Goes down. 1, 2. Oh, that felt like it might have been it. That felt like it might have been it, but it wasn't. Oh, beautiful backstabber, though. Right now, we've got Ridge getting up to his feet. Lands on his feet. Kick coming in. Ridge going over to the corner. Tag being made. In comes Axiom. Heel turn coming. Carmen Live, shout out to you. Okay, we've got Axiom up top with Ridge. Spanish Fly looks like it's about to come in. He's all the way up. Spanish Fly connects. Axiom's all fired up here. Nathan's gone up. He gets pushed by Andre Chase. Oh, Nathan face first into the commentary table. Axiom goes over. Throws in like a drop kick. Right now. Oh, big clothesline. Ridge Holland. Oh, this could be a big, big problem. 1, 2, 3. We got new tag champs. New tag champs. Chase, you have done it. Wow. Ridge. Andre Chase. New tag team champs. The community was 50-50 as to whether it would happen or not, but it has happened. Really great match. Keeping an eye on Duke. I don't know, he's celebrating, he's happy for him. Obviously, there's been some people that haven't trusted Ridge Holland. Duke was obviously disappointed at not being in this match as well, so we are just keeping an eye on him. I don't know, do we need to keep an eye on Nathan as well? I don't know that we've got enough time, really. I don't know that anything's going to go down here. I think they might just let the tag title change, like, breathe. But lots of potential for turns. Lots of problems between Nathan and Axiom, which could explode. Duke Hudson not happy at not being in this match. That could explode. Thea Hale's a savage. She could just explode. So we are just seeing replay at the moment. Boom, that is so nice. Just absolutely drove Axiom. Look at all them, man. Wow, we've got some Chase U students in the ring. We've got confetti. Ah, oh, let's go. Look at these scenes. Big moment for Chase U. You can see Axiom. You can see Nathan. All the confetti raining down. Wow. Big ending. Big ending. Look at all that confetti, man. That must be all the confetti. Booker said he's going to clean all this up. It's you, Booker. You're going to do it. Hope you brought the broom. We're seeing another replay. Another replay. They did just show Axiom and Nathan sat on the outsides. Nathan was like trying to get his head around what had happened. Ah, so good. Holding up the titles, we've got Duke Hudson throwing up the symbol behind. Big smile on Thea's face. Yeah, it feels like they're just letting this breathe, but Duke Hudson, then again, I can't help it. I keep looking at his face. Nothing. Black screen. Black screen. Yeah, very good. The world is shifting. People aren't buying new iPhones every year. They're cancelling Sky subscriptions. McDonald's, Starbucks losing customers. Hollywood movies are falling at the box office, and inflation. The world is ever changing. It is true. There is a cost of living crisis. Ken said, I wonder which Chase U students will become future champions. All of them. Every single one. Spartan, chat out to you. I hope you're well. Right. We need to get our scores in for that, don't we? And then I need to run away because I've got like a whole unseen video which I need to start working on. I will get an unseen video out tonight. We do also need to get something up for the second channel. So we need to do that as well. But we need to get the score for this main event match done first. Party on the quad tonight, said Jadam. Poor NXT tonight, but a great main event, said Paul. I do agree. I really thought this show just really struggled for me throughout the vast majority of it. It was not an easy watch, I didn't think. I would even go as far as to say one of the shows I've probably struggled the most with this year. I mean, I just really was struggling. I was just finding lots of stuff I just wasn't feeling any sort of connection with. Is that on me? Maybe. Maybe. I did like Oba Otis. I did like that main event. I got a bit out of Charlie and Tony, but really outside of that, I was just, yeah, I was struggling with this one. This is one that would get a pretty low score from me personally, but we've said it before, haven't we? Those big endings, they can really change people's opinions. That kind of lasting impression is so important. When it's time to come think of a score, you know, you've still got that good vibe in your system about, like, you know, a title change and all that confetti and everything, and it can kind of overshadow the 2 hours that came before it. But I don't know. We'll get the poll up. We'll see what people thought on that second channel. We'll get people's opinions, but yeah. Do you think WWE will overcome the wrestling stigma? Why do advertising fans think that wrestling fans are broke? Well, I can't speak about advertisers thinking that. I mean, I think that's I think there must be some data that they've got that sort of supports that. I mean, I don't think they just think these things. So there must, you know, they're always looking at numbers, always looking at data. There must be that suggests that you know, advertising with wrestling is not as productive as advertising with other places. They must have data for it. They're not just going to pull it out their backsides, are they? So I think, like, WWE can't really worry about those things. They've just got to keep doing what they're doing and putting out the best product possible and getting the most viewers possible, and that's all you can do, really. And then, you know, if you've got a hot product and people are watching and you're the talk of the town, the advertisers and the sponsors will, you know, they'll be there. So I think it's one of those that you can't really worry about because it's largely out of your control. But I do think that there are quite a few stigmas with wrestling. But I think when it comes to advertisers, you know, I think if you've got like, they'll know the demographics of people that are watching. Maybe it's a bit of a sense of, you know, it's a younger demo. I mean, I don't have that demo information, but perhaps they're looking at it as like there's other more beneficial ways of spending their marketing money. If you've got a budget, then it's maybe more beneficial to advertise elsewhere. It's just maybe just comes down to that. Right, let's wrap this baby up. Much love, everyone, says Mitchell. Calvin, shout out to you. October 1st and 8th will be something. Nothing like a happy ending, says Matter. I like that. If WrestleMania is on Netflix, do you think people will be like, I don't watch wrestling, but I'm curious? Some may say wrestling, I've not watched that in a long time. Maybe. I mean, something like WrestleMania being on, if you've got, you know, if you put it in front of enough people, you might be able to grab them. I mean, something like a Royal Rumble, a WrestleMania, you might be able to bring some people in with those events. With an average Raw, I just don't think so. I just don't know that people will be... I don't know, unless you can, like, I don't know, get The Undertaker on and, like, really advertise it as, like, with The Undertaker's image and all of that, you know? Maybe you can do something with that. And, you know, clearly they're going to try and stack those early episodes to try and do exactly that. You know, they're going to... rumors are Undertaker will be involved early doors. But, you know, I think we all know what will happen. There'll be a big spike when it moves. And then it will settle down. Which is what, you know, I think most people would expect it to do. And I think when it settles down, it'll... you know, settle down to a certain level. Don't know where that level is. But then really after that point, it's going to be very hard, I think, to then be bringing in, like, numbers, big numbers, and getting more people in. But Netflix are going to do... I mean, look, WWE are very powerful. Netflix are very powerful. Both are going to do everything they can to try and attract new viewers. And I think some of those tricks will work. But what does that number look like? You know, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? How many people can you attract? Would something like a WrestleMania being like in front of more eyes make a massive difference? I don't know. How many people are going to look at it and say, oh, I haven't watched wrestling in a while, I'm going to give it a go? How many people are going to do that? Don't know. To me, I don't believe that you're going to see massive people tuning back in that are like been lapse fans. I think there's an opportunity, but I think there's also a risk because we just don't know what to expect from Netflix. So I think it's, you know, it's stepping into the unknown. I think it's a bit of a gamble to move away from TV, but we know TV's in a decline. I think that as an adult, as I said, I just don't think you're going to take that chance. But as you said, something like a WrestleMania, something like a Royal Rumble, if they've watched it before, Rumbles, people have got a lot of affection for the Rumble. So, you know, would that be able to convince a few people to join over? But I don't see this being a case where, say, 2 million are watching on TV or 1.8 are watching, and all of a sudden now it's going to be 3 million or 3.5 million. I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling with that because you're asking for a lot of people to come back to wrestling in a very short space of time. I don't know that just moving to Netflix is going to have that kind of an impact. I'm certainly not expecting that kind of an impact. But I could be wrong, couldn't I? I could be wrong. It could be this massive success. It could be one of those monumental moments that kind of blows our mind. I will be very interested to see what the result is. Last question. If Netflix does opt out after 5 years, will WWE go back? Don't know. It depends what's on the table, doesn't it? It would do. I mean, I would imagine that USA will be there, but what will USA look like in 5 years? I mean, I think TV networks are in decline, and I think it's about how well can you manage that decline. So fast forward 5 years, where is USA Network? If you was to go back to them with Raw, what would that even look like? Are you doing? I mean, I'm almost certainly you're doing under $1 million. Almost certainly you're doing under $1 million. I mean, you're probably looking at 800,000, something like that. I mean, at the moment it can do 1.8, but it wasn't that long ago that it was doing around 1.4. I mean, this is an exceptionally hot period for WWE. So if it cools a little bit and add in the decline of TV, I don't think it's unfair to suggest in 5 years you'd be doing under $1 million. So, you know, that's the situation that WWE would be desperately not wanting to be in. So I think the truth about these things is it's hard. Like, life is hard. Getting viewers is hard. Tony Khan would love more viewers for AEW. WWE always want more viewers for WWE. I think getting people to watch your products is hard, because there has never been more choice. There is just so much for people to do. You know, I mean, like, AAA games can take 200 hours to complete now. So you could buy a game for $50 and just play that night after night and not even interact with TV. Or, you know, there's a lot of illegal stuff, isn't there? I mean, there's a lot of people that have got that kind of IPTV and have got those Amazon sticks and, you know, can get access to stuff that way. I think there's, you know, talking hundreds of thousands of people that have got that and have got access to that. And I think there's a big problem with that kind of piracy. So, you know, you're battling that. You're battling all the different streaming platforms. You're battling TV. You're battling video games. You know, you're battling just going on the internet. Just TikTok. I mean, oh my God. Imagine a world that didn't have YouTube and TikTok, and how much more time humanity would have. That was kind of where TV was, you know. I mean, they didn't have Twitter. They didn't have people, I mean, just scrolling on Twitter, the amount of hours that people spend doing that, the amount of hours on Instagram, the amount of hours on TikTok, the amount of hours on YouTube. I mean, it's just hard. Getting people's attention is hard. It's hard work. And I don't know that just magically moving to Netflix just makes all their dreams come true. I just don't think the world is set up that way. I think, like, you can put yourself in the shop window, but someone has still got to want to purchase you. Someone has still got to want to take that chance on you. And that is going to be very interesting to see how WWE achieve that. You can put yourself in the right place, but you're in that shop window with a lot of other things. So how do you get people to select you? How do you get people to watch you? Don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I mean, I think you get The Undertaker and you get John Cena and you get Stone Cold and you get The Rock and you flipping stack the shows like we've never seen. I mean, January is going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely bonkers. That Netflix move is, I mean, it's incredibly big. I mean, it's unbelievably big because the prize is so big. And the peril. I mean, they could go to Netflix and it could bomb. It could bomb. You know, it could be that they go to Netflix and people don't take that chance on them. And that those Lapsed fans aren't interested in coming back. It could be that the world has moved on. And, you know, UFC, for example, has taken a lot of the audience. So anyone that wants that kind of combat, wants that fight in, they might get that fix from UFC now. They might get that fix from bare knuckle fighting. They might get them that fix from like so many other, you know, I mean, Misfits boxing, influencer boxing, boxing, Saudi now boxing. They're putting on much bigger shows, aren't they? So much competition. It's crazy right now with like how much variety there is. So I think that will be so interesting in January. You move to Netflix, you put yourself in the shop window, but how do you get people to watch you? Clearly, the fans that are invested are going to do it, but how do you get those extra people to do it? Do you just stack it with legends and hope for the best? Do you bring in celebrities? Do you bring in musicians? Like, what do you do? Do you do special tournament? Like, we're going to crown a new champion. There's a vacated belt. You know, who's going to be the new champion? We're going to mix in a few legends. Or, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's a conversation that you could spend hours and hours and hours on. Like, what do you do to get people to take a chance on you? What kind of numbers are they anticipating? It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be one of the biggest things to happen to WWE in years. Well, since Vince left. Since Vince left and Triple H took over, the move to Netflix is the biggest thing that's happened. So it will be very, very interesting to see how it all shakes out. That is the big gamble with streaming. You sacrifice 1.7 million who have been watching. For WWE, you'll take some fans and you'll lose some fans and you'll create some fans. That's true. And how does it shake out? How does it shake out? You're right. You'll take fans. You won't take everyone. You'll take some fans. You'll lose some fans. I think you'll take the vast majority. You know, if it's 1.7, say you take 1.3, 1.4, maybe 1.5. And then you'll pick up new fans. But again, what's that number? The new fans number that's going to now start watching you. Which is why I think it's so important that you really make sure you're accessible to kids. Because I really think the youngsters, they'll take a chance on you a lot more than adults will. I think the youngsters will take a chance on you, and you're really relying on lapsed fans who genuinely may have moved on. May have moved on. There's so much choice now that you might have watched wrestling and enjoyed it, but that could very much be a close chapter in your life now. I hope it's not. I hope that it goes bananas. I would love for nothing more than for WWE to experience a boom period, the likes of which we've never seen before. Because, you know, I mean, for me, not only is it a form of entertainment I love, but, you know, this is what I do for a living. So, you know, hopefully more people would join us and there'd be more conversations and there'd be more engagement and, you know, it just everything, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. So don't get it twisted. Even if I am saying that there's concerns, there's obviously great opportunity as well. And I don't know how it shakes out. I think I go into it with realistic pessimism, if you will. I go into it, I think, realistically thinking I expect a lift. I think that it will see an increase because, as you said, it puts it in front of more people. But I don't think I'm getting carried away with expecting it to be like this monumental, seismic, once in a generation. Oh my God, I'm not expecting that kind of mental number. I'm thinking it's going to be a nice bump, a nice little increase. But I don't know that it's something that's going to really, you know, change everything. You know, I don't know that all of a sudden it gets back to being, you know, at the forefront of pop culture. I don't know that we get back to that. I don't know that you can get back to that. Because really, in this day and age, how do you become the thing that everyone talks about? So hard to achieve. You've got to be a really awful Australian breakdancer. That's the only way you can do it now. A really awful Australian breakdancer. They need her. That's what they need. They need to go and get Reagan. If they go and get Reagan, they'll do 10 million first episode. Just 3 hours of her dancing. 10 million views guaranteed. Guaranteed. Keep her locked away and say she's been working on a new routine. Lock her away and say she's been working on a new routine for 6 months, right? Bring her out, put her in the ring, and then have her do the exact same routine. Yes! That's what I would do. That's what I would book. That's what I would book. Booking genius. Right. King Eddy, shout out to you, my friend. Firing in 5 Wrestling Daze memberships, gifting them for people, which is super kind, super appreciated. And I hope you are well, my friends. Ticket sales, WWE 52 weeks, different markets might produce different results. I hope it works out. SmackDown is in good hands, says Big Time. Right, I need to go anyway, didn't I? I said that about 15 minutes ago, but I don't know, it was a good conversation. Don't mind sticking around for a good little chin wag. And I do think that Netflix move is, you know, it's something that we've kind of briefly touched on, but I don't know that we've really dug into it because there's just been so much other stuff, hasn't there? But that Netflix move is, it's huge. It's so big. I mean, honestly, we are going to eat so good in January. We could even go for a nap for 4 months and then come back in January and it is going to cook. It is going to cook. So yeah, January, that Netflix movie is going to be next level. So very exciting. And again, I hope, you know, I don't think it's got twisted, but I hope it's an absolutely monumental success. And I'll be interested to see what they do for it. Right, I'm going. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Appreciate the support, and I will see you again next time.